There we go.
Okay, so what are we doing? I have no idea. Oh wait, since because this is almost Rocky Bullwinkle's 65th anniversary next month on the 19th. What? Oh. Thanks. All right. So anyway, yeah, what are we doing here? I don't know. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Comedic Reads, the rebrand of Bugs and Making Storytime with Friends. And I'm right here. Joining me, we have right now, we have Alex Perrine.
Alex the High Flyer at your service.
And today we're going to be reading this long book called The Moose That Roared, the story of Jay Ward, Bill Scott, a flying squirrel, and a talking moose.
Right.
So this is written by Bullwinkle's voice actor Keith Scott, who did the voice for many years. And before we read this, our creator has got some movies today. So I'm going to go for them. So the first one in order is actually interesting. This one's Harry Potter and Goblet of Fire. This is a rare UK DVD.
Whoa.
And on the right side, we got Batman Begins.
Flipping wild.
And on this, wait a second. Are those bootleg discs? Yep, they're bootlegs.
Yikes!
Need to get a real copy.
Yeah.
Probably can't copied.
Bootleg copies aren't good.
Yeah. All right, here's the next one. It's got nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing at all.
And then our creator got the first ever HD DVD. That is King Kong.
Ooh.
Come back. This is PG-13 US, 14A in Canada. And the running time is 3 hours and 8 minutes. Jesus Christ, that's long.
That's for sure.
And here's the disc. Came in as red case.
Ooh.
That's my favorite color. Okay. All right, now back to the main point. So we're going to be reading this for separate parts. This is part 1, by the way. So we're going to read through lots of chapters, some chapters, and some stuff. So yeah, we'll get started here. And I like this picture here. It has the copyright of Ward Productions and Universal. This is during the time that Rocky and Bullwinkle were owned by Universal.
Which they technically still are, thanks to Classic Media.
Yeah, thanks. All right, contents. Let's see here.
Oh my, that is a ton of chapters.
22 appendix, the reference section.
And of course, Bill Scott, 1920 to 1985.
Rest in peace to him, honestly.
Right.
I did remember doing that documentary. Okay. I remember watching that documentary made by good old Amber Jones, who, not gonna lie, did a good job doing that documentary of Bill.
Okay, then.
All right, let's start. All right.
You got the credits, Bullwinkle. Or here are a few of the people who made this impossible.
No. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna read this. This is like a list of animators here. So let's do this. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna be doing this. So all right, here we go. This book has been an 8-year labor of love. It's also been a difficult one to write simply by dint of geographical distance and more than most authors I've needed the transoceanic. Is that how you pronounce transoceanic? Hold on. I need to. Transoceanic. Yeah. help of others to bring the book to its final stages. It's obviously somewhat presumptuous to attempt to chronicle 25 years in the life of a cartoon studio, particularly when one was not there at the time, which is why those who were there will always do the best books on animation. The lively memoirs of Seamus Collane, Chuck Jones, and Jack Kinney provided ample proof. Oh yeah, Seamus Collane did direct some Paramount cartoons.
Makes sense.
Chuck Jones produced the Looney Tunes cartoons and the Tom and Jerry cartoons.
Very obvious.
And Jack Kinney directed shorts from, Disney. All right. The job itself becomes even more of a jigsaw puzzle with the death of several key participants. Until recently, in fact, those brave souls who wrote about any aspect of animation industry history had very little in the way of reference material or even basic starting points. The task involves much primary research, and regrettably, various pioneers are now gone to the big storyboard conference on high. Fortunately, I got off to a great start in 1970 when I began my correspondence with the late Dawes Butler, Bill Scott, and Paul Frees, and the still highly active June Foray.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is where he got to be his heroes.
Of course, the many interviews and meetings with these giants of a cartoon voice field form the basis of this book. June Foray has been a wonderful friend for 25 years, which is a quarter of the century.
Yeah.
And it was truly one of those magic moments that would happen once in a lifetime when I finally worked with her in early 1992 on recording sessions for Universal's Rocky and Bullwinkle theme park shows.
Oh, yeah, in Florida and Hollywood. I did remember hearing about that.
Let's see. In 1973, I met the supposedly elusive Jay Ward. He was a great help for the next 12 years, especially in fleshing out innumerable details that form the historical chapters within these pages. And particular mention must be given to Skip Craig, a most loyal friend who has been unfailingly helpful, meticulous, and patient, and happily blessed with the extraordinary memory. Skip J. Ward Chef. Chef! Chef!
Oops!
I did it again! I forgot the I! Worthy! Chief!
Oh
Chief!
my
Film editor from 1959 to 1984 is already well known to several entertainment researchers for his incredible help on books concerning Spike Jones and old time radio. His enthusiasm, okay, that is unflagging, and he's truly one of the gentlemen of this world.
Yep, he sure is. All right. Now let me see the next part. All right. Above all, it was Bill Scott who proved truly invaluable, taking me under his wing, or antlers, because he did the voice of Bullwinkle. You get the pun. By inviting me to J. Ward recording sessions, writing newsletters, and supplying research materials. Bill selflessly spent 10 years loaning or simply giving me copies of his files, correspondence, master tapes, and cells, long before animation art was known to be a hot item. With digital animation. What else can you expect with digital animation? Oh, and hello, Mark. Yeah, we're doing fine on this Tuesday. All right. Not to mention the many hours I got to spend in his hilarious company. His patience with a decade's worth of often arcane questions knew no bounds, and it is to him that this book is finally dedicated. Yep. It's finally dedicated to him, all right. You can see on the dedication thing that we just read. All right. Of tremendous help in verifying facts and fleshing out much needed background were the many other people who were there when J. Ward Productions was happening. My heartfelt thanks to the following for giving of their time and memories: Alex Anderson, Roman Arambula, George Atkins, Gerard Baldwin, Bruce Spurnis, Alan Burns, Lucille Bliss, Howard Brandine, Murders Butler, Frank Comstock, the late William Conrad, who was the narrator of Rocky and Bullwinkle, Trilby Conread, Helen Craig, Jim Critchfield, the late Seamus Collane, Stan Clayburger, Dennis Farnan, Stan Freeberg, Mr. and Mrs. David Fries, Fred Fries, Joy Terry Fries, Alan Foshko, Rose Fries Ginsburg, William Hanna, for some reason,
Right.
Helen Hansen, Chris Hayward, Linda Hayward, Jim Hiltz, Bill and Mary Hertz, Chuck Jones, Francie Jones, Chris Jenkins, the late Lou Keller, Leonard Key, Ted Key, Bob Kurtz, Bill Littlejohn, Bob Mills, Alice Marita, Charlotte Morris, Luther Nichols, Gary Owens, Peter Peach, Don Pitts, Irv Rosenfield, Dorothy Scott, John Hamilton Scott, Al Sheen, Shirley Sylvie Berg, George Singer, Fred Steiner, Darling Turner, the late Lloyd Turner, and Al Wilson. If the elusive Bill Oberlin, and Chris Allen are still alive, please contact the author.
Weird to include.
Yeah. Right. For reasons that go beyond this book, I owe enormous thanks to Ramona and Tiffany Ward, who now run J. Ward Productions in its 40th year. And they're still running to this day. Others who helped in generous fashion beyond the Call of Duty include the regular band of dedicated animation enthusiasts. Carl Cohen, Fred Patton, both of whom had already conducted splendid research on the Crusader Rabbit era. Charles Ulrich, editor of the newsletter The Frostbite Falls Far-Flung Flyer. Robert L. Stone, David Mraz, Dwayne Dimmock, Ronnie Wise, Mark Evanier, who was the writer of Garfield and Friends, Jerry Beck, Leonard Maltin, Steve Worth, Peter Greenwood, Raymond Cox, Ames Ware, Graham Webb, Mike Barrier, and the indispensable Mark Kostler. Institutional help came from the Margaret Herrick Library at the Center for Motion Picture Study and the USC Cinema Television Library's energetic creator, Ned Comstock. Supplying endless tapes and rare recordings were John and Larry Gassman, Ted Herring, Dick Mullins, Don Aston, and undoubtedly the world's most painstaking recording perfectionist, my funny friend Ken Greenwald. Always there in the nick of time. Really gonna do that joke based on Treasure on Monty Zoom? I had to.
Of course.
Yes. Okay. All right. With much needed assistance on additional audio and video material were two of the best in business, the ineffable Brian Bogle and the gifted voice artist Corey Burton, whose taste and judgment concerning voice work in J-Ward cartoons are second to none. Special thanks also to Debbie Cohen, Bart Pierce, Michelle Katz, Nancy Cushing-Jones, and Cindy Chang of Universal City Studios Publishing Rights, Neil Rosini, and especially my literary agent George Weiser for hanging in there. My splendid editor, Barry Neville, made a large-scale, judicious decision regarding the total reorganization of the chapters. The result is a much better book. I would like to thank the copy editor, Adam Goldberger, too, as well as Brian Mulligan for the great design job and Elizabeth McNamara for her help with legal matters. A tip of the hat to the following organizations for providing invaluable contacts and permissions: AFTRA, the American Federation of Musicians, Dubs Inc., 525 Post, the Performing Rights Society of London, the Screen Actors Guild, the Screen Cartoonists Guild, the UCLA Animation Department, the Writers Guild of America, West, 20th Century Fox, Ashley Simmons, Newsweek, Randy Shapiro, the Los Angeles Times, Permissions Council, Quaker Oats Company. Oh, yeah. Jay Ward did some commercials for the Quaker Oats Company during the time, like Captain Crunch and Quistquake.
Kind of makes sense.
Jeanette Silverberg, and Variety, Gene Byrne. The generosity of various individuals above extended to their loaning research materials, artwork, and valued photographs. Those who agreed to interviews made the project come alive with their memories and gave the book the human touch needed to prevent its becoming a mere catalog of names and dates. The book will gush occasionally. If at times it reads more like a fancy, I make no apologies. Finally, to my wife, Sue, whose love and patience helped me through the rough spots, and whose forbearance in teaching me to handle the intricacies, is that how you pronounce it? No, I'm not too sure, of that modern minefield. The PC word processor, when I still have trouble with leaking ballpoint pens, was worthy of a medal.
Now the foreword itself, or the glancing backward.
By Chris Hayward, one of the writers of Rocky Mogul. All right. Well, my writing tends to be economical, depending on the occasion, bordering on the cusp of terse. Yet, when the subject of J.T. Ward is broached, launching warm reflections of my halcyon years and laboring under Jay's nutty auspices, I can get downright verbose. Stay tuned. Sadly, Jay is no longer with us. Prolific Bill Scott predeceased Jay. Even boot companion Lloyd Turner is drowning on that heavenly lake in the sky. Contemplating these losses, I suddenly realized that at long last, sans emotional restraints, I can now set the record straight, tell the truth about the working environment, the creative restrictions Jay imposed. Aside from the momentary considerations which Uriah Heep would have envied, there were none, which is sad. It was an insane but joyous atmosphere. Al Burns, George Atkins, Chris Jenkins, Alex Anderson, Jim Critchfield, Jim McGeorge, Al Sheen, Pete Burness, all were freewheeling, outrageously independent talents, each contributing to that Mad Cat era when limited animation in the right hands could be unlimitedly funny, professionally original, and wonder of wonders, timeless. Allow me to reflect, briefly. Back in the early 1960s, Lloyd Turner and I had three things in common besides writing for J. Ward Productions. Insatiable first, the capacity to make Jay howl with glee, and a bum left arm.
Ouch.
Yeah. Lloyd's was the bummier. He had lost most of it below the elbow in a woodworking class.
Yikes.
Okay.
No, sir. That table I'm making doesn't have 5 legs. One of them belongs to me.
Yeah. As for myself as an 8-year-old, I chased one of my sisters through a sliding glass door. The door was closed when I reached it, but not after I went through it. I came out of the episode with my left arm a trophy for life, which meant that 30 or so years later, Lloyd Turner and I couldn't row a boat. But physical limitations didn't prevent us from playing golf, particularly when Jay would command us to participate in one of his maniacal golf tournaments. On one special occasion, we were instructed to be packed and waiting at the curb. Jay would pick us up. However, since he had designated this a mystery tournament, destination unknown, what the hell were we supposed to pack? Slickers? Luau shirts?
Luau?
We endeavored to outwit him. Our unworthy opponents, a foursome from San Francisco and lifelong buddies of Jay's, were scheduled to join us at the ultimate playing site. We got lucky. The first airline we contacted at LAX confirmed that Jay had arranged a transfer for the northern contingent to a smaller aircraft destined for Phoenix. We packed for heat. It was one of the few times we ever got the better of Jay. Oh, we lost to the guys up north. Adrift on Lake Arrowhead, Chris Hayward. Yes, so
Chris Hayward is one of the veterans of TV comedy. His impressive resume includes scripting classics of the genre like Get Smart and Barney Miller. Not to mention the Smothers Brothers shows, He and She, for which he won an Emmy, and, in his own words, the all-time TV stinker, My Mother the Car.
I wonder who aired these shows, but we'll get to that. All right. Our introduction for reals. In the entire history of TV cartoons, there has been only one show which could boast dialogue like this. Uncle, you know what a bob means? Sure, a bob is what some people call our program. I don't think that's so funny. Neither do they, apparently.
Puns, satire, irony. The TV shows featuring the earnest young hero, Rocky the Flying Squirrel, and his slightly dim-witted sidekick, Bullwinkle J. Moose, are today the most beloved and respected cartoons from the period that has been officially been designated the baby boom era. The
Oh
Rocky
yeah.
the Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoons have attained legendary animation status, helped among the first by film festivals and cult retrospectives, dating from the mid 1980s when these baby boomers' offspring began to come from age. The phenomenon became especially apparent with the release of the Disney and Buena Vista video cassettes in early 1991. The instantaneous leap to the top of the Billboard video sales charts was both a joyous vindication for toon cultists and a sad reminder of television's lack of progress over the last 30 years. Indeed, when Rocky and Bullwinkle's adventures first aired from 1959 to 1964, TV was being criticized for its follow the leader mentality. Everyone remembers FCC Chairman Newton Minnow's famous remark about television's vast wasteland. This abating popularity is easily explained. The Squirrel and Moose, 39 years old, as if this being written, have hardly dated. Heck, even acknowledged live action comedy classics from TV's Hall of Fame, both still hilarious and as popular as ever, can be said to be showing their age. Today's viewers have to adjust their mindset in the sense casting themselves back in time, a la Mr. Peabody, to enjoy much of old television in context.
Yep. As you can see, yeah, Disney actually released VHS tapes of Rocky and Bullwinkle during like the 1990s.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I did remember watching one of those on YouTube where it's like, I mean, that Treasure of Montezuma episode. Oh,
Uh-oh. I think that happened.
dang. Okay. All right. All right. All right, now you go read this next part. To appreciate certain vintage shows involves overlooking deficiencies in technical quality and near alien culture references. Mostly the effort is well worth it, particularly as a fascinating sociological mirror of the times. Some old masters like Jack Benny, Dick Van Dyke, The Twilight Zone, and The Honeymooners have proved spectacularly successful with books devoted to the series and healthy sales of home video reissue packages. Of course, the flip side of this equation reveals that, in truth, the list of great old TV shows ripe for revival is not an overly long one. In fact, with various noble exceptions, much early television now seems quaint or, to be charitable, historically interesting at best. And some shows were frankly abysmal. How many people, apart from terminal couch potatoes, will truly sit still in today's high-tech TV climate with its endless viewing choices, satellite cable, DVD, interactive, for even an episode of My Little Margie, Tales of Will Fargo, or The Tab Hunter Show? That is a question that
Yeah, that is indeed a question.
I don't know why. Happily, Rocky and Bullwinkle belong to the classic pedigree. The unassuming Moose and Squirrel, along with their cohorts and cartoon mayhem and glorious hyperbole like Dudley Do-Right, Peabody and Sherman, Boris and Tasha, and the West, work just as well now as they did 3 decades ago. The cartoons dare to be smart and funny. They still come across as smart and funny, reminding us of a time when the sole purpose of cartoons was laughter, not tie-ins on unprepossessing plush toys, or the dictums of network censors concerned with cutting jokes and substituting tedious new age relevance.
Of course. Today, with the sole exception of The Simpsons, the J-Word cartoons may remain a pillar of comics sophistication in the mainly with this animated phenomenon or Pantheon or whatever of Beavis and Butthead, Biker Mice from Mars, and the environmentally concerned cartoon All Stars to the rescue. The adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle taught an entire generation the art of parody. While most early TV cartoons involved mice belting cats with mallets, or even bears stealing pies from a windowsill guarded by a bulldog, the hip young moose and squirrel were concerned with Congress, the Cold War, and TV itself. And let's not forget those deliberately dreadful puns. People like places like Dr. Bermuda Schwartz, maybe Dick the Whaley Whale, Mazamati U, our critic Sir Rowan Blue, Peak, or whatever, Sir Hillary Pushamoff, the Guns of Avalon, the Village of Daniels on the Rocks, and Upper Whatchamacallism. Well,
Yeah.
again, whatever.
Or are you gonna do? I can say what you call it, Stan.
What you call it? Subversive and irrelevant, multi-layered and surreal, topical, and rapid fire. These amazing little cartoons consistently burst the balloons of pomposity in all walks of life. In a flurry of articles which appeared following the astonishingly rapid success of the video releases, such notables such as Steven Spielberg, Matt Groening, creator of The Simpsons, and author Ray Bradbury, officiously sang the praises of Rocky and Bullwinkle. Thanks to our furry heroes, the world of TV animation was given a breath of fresh air, and those who were seduced by the peculiar comedic charms of producers Jay Ward and Bill Scott were changed forever. This book presents the full story behind these witty cartoon shows and their purest creators.
Okay, so this is an asterisk, meaning it's maybe like my turn to do this next part.
Yep, go ahead.
All right. Before heading into the saga of these animation iconoclasts, I feel that a personal note is in order for those readers about to embark on this journey into the zany land of J War Productions. What better way to start than by saying that I love J War cartoons? I always do love J Ward, honestly, and have yet to meet a fellow enthusiast who can match my not quite sane level of worship. Let me explain this unabashed addiction. Australia, for various reasons, including our much smaller population, was a good 8 years behind the US media revolution. We didn't begin receiving television broadcasts until 1956. By 1960, my family had their two hads.
Oopsies! That is not quite right.
Okay, my family had TV in our house for about 12 months when suddenly Rocky and his friends arrived down under. I had already fallen in love with American cartoons like Crusader Rabbit, Huckleberry Hound, and Tom Terrific. And by then, although just 6 years old, I sensed my life was going to be inextricably bound to Hollywood cartoons, for which I was showing an awareness beyond my years. I harbored an especially keen interest in the funny voices heard in these animated babysitters. In fact, I was exhibiting the symptoms of the classic cartoon junkie at this tender age. Compared to my contemporaries who were getting a life by tearing up the football field or discovering go-karts and pogo sticks, I was one of that odd flock who were drawn like moths to a flame to comic books. I was a budding cartoonist, comedy, and TV animation. So when Rocky and Bullwinkle entered my life, I felt like I reached a nirvana point of no return. Never again would I find a cartoon series like this. It was truly different. Although aware that many of the jokes were beyond my comprehension, I knew that this singular TV show would become a lifelong study. Of course, when something has that kind of impact on one's formative years, it's very hard to shake. Even then, while a mere school kid, I had made up my mind that one day I would enter the field of animation, comedy, and voice impersonations. As to how, I had not the slightest idea. Over the next 10 years, my interest in Rocky and Bullwinkle became more and more scholarly. The bottom line, I was hooked beyond help, obsessed with finding out all I could about J War Productions. I started writing letters. I wrote to TV stations, radio stations, and I found myself desperately wondering about such earth-shaking matters as where was J War Productions located? Who or what was PAT listed in the credits? What did the voices actors look like? Who, in fact, did each voice? Even more to the point, who was the mysterious Jay Ward? And more intriguingly, who wrote all that funny dialogue? Well, we'll get to see in some point throughout the book. My ear was especially taken with actors Dawes Butler and Paul Frees, and I determined to meet these heroes of mine. They held me enthralled the way football stars and giants in the music would appear to people with possibly saner tastes. I thought of writing to these legendary voice actors, but at that unworldly point in my life, I was so in awe of them that the thought of sending letters filled my insides with butterflies. Then, just as I was entertaining thoughts of giving up this insanity, and settling down to be a teacher, a high school friend's father, or on a whim for which I'll always be thankful, loaned me the double Capitol record album, The Best Stan Freberg Shows. This contained beautifully written comedy highlights from Freberg's 15-week 1957 summer radio show on CBS. I was as entranced by his humor as I was by Jay Ward's. Within the album covers, lo and behold, were pictures of Dawes Butler and June Foray. Jay looked human, even friendly. That did it. Naively, I wrote to Dawes Butler, care of Screen Gems TV, which distributed Hanna-Barbera's The Huckleberry Hound Show, and in December 1970, I received a long and warm letter from him. I was dumbfounded. Here in my own room was a reply from the voice of Yogi Bear.
Wow. Talk about lucky.
Very lucky. In it, he enclosed extras I hadn't thought of requesting, like photos and drawings of all of his characters. Best of all, he filled me in on who did the various other voices of Jay Ward's cartoons. Dawes mentioned Bill Scott, who of course only appeared on the Bullwinkle titles as co-producer, never taking a voice credit, which is strange. I have no idea he did voices. I wrote to Bill Scott in 1971 and was again amazed to receive a long letter plus many stills and photos, again unsolicited. I wrote back and he encouraged me to correspond. A couple of years later, I enclosed some amateurish but detailed episode guides to the J War cartoons, which I'd been working on for several months. Bill wrote back, telling me he was now using them as reference in his office. Years later, he told me the reason he originally replied to me was because he'd seen in my first epistle exactly the same obsessive enthusiasm he had for cartoons as a 17-year-old. Top all of this, yeah. Go ahead.
To top all this, he copied my latest letter and sent it to June Foray. Fate stepped in, and she had just met someone exactly like me, the poor sap. He was about my age and lived in California. His name was Corey Burton, and he too was obviously as far off the deep end as I, having shared my lifelong fascination with these voice people and Ward cartoons. June Foray was the catalyst for the erudite letters we sent to each other beginning in August 1971. Corey had remained one of my close friends for these 28 years. I must admit to being jealous of him in the first year of acquaintance. He had been taken by June Foray to actually sit in on several J Ward recording sessions for Captain Crunch and Quiz Quake commercials, which you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my other vocal hero, Paul Freeze, had made contact and sent me a personalized tape from his home studio. It wasn't too long after this that Corey and I began the long process of getting our feet in the door of professional voice acting work in our respective countries. By then, I'd met Bill Hanna and worked at his new Sydney Hanna-Barbera wing for 6 months. One of his animators, bless him, gave me my first voice actor assignment in late 1972. But the best was yet to come. After 18 months of correspondence and much trading of cartoon soundtracks and record albums featuring J Ward voice actors, Corey Burton and I met. I'd entered the quiz in the local TV Times, one of those win a trip to Hollywood contests in which the questions involved movie trivia. I came home to find a letter from the magazine telling me I had won the trip and I'd made careful plans and was soon on my way. I spent the most amazing 4 weeks of my life in Los Angeles, thanks mainly to the unbelievable graciously hospitality of Jay Ward, Bill Scott, Dawes Butler, June Foray, and her terrific late husband, Hope Donovan, Paul Freeze, and Chris Hoppity Hooper Allen. And this occurred in April 1973, when all those people were active and highly visible in the industry. I'd assumed they wouldn't have the schedule or the inclination to spend time with some punk kid from 7,000 miles across the Pacific, but I was wrong. When those people heard I was such in town, they went out of their way for me. Bill Scott took me to lunch at the old Frescati's restaurant opposite J Ward's studio. I cursed the fact that I didn't take a cassette recorder. He talked for 3 hours on the history of Jay's cartoons and finally asked me to write this book. Dawes Butler invited Corey and me for the whole day at his home recording studio. I met the hilarious Paul Freeze at a voiceover job at the Lake Radio Recorders, then Hollywood's oldest sound studio. June Foray took me to a recording job presided over by animation legend Chuck Jones. Still another of my heroes. And I was invited to a session at Hanna-Barbera's studio, where I met Tom Bosley and other cartoon actors. All these voice people loaned us rare tapes from their private collections. You take over from here.
Okay. And then there was J Ward Productions. Before I won the trip, Corey Burton had told me about the store Jay had opened just a year earlier. Tantalizingly, it was called Dudley Do Right's Emporium, which is a gift shop based on Rocky and Bullwinkle. Hey, Mix King. Mix King, the link is in Discord if you want to join. Okay. Oh boy. Alright. He mentioned something which had me salivating. The shop sold cassettes of genuine old radio shows featuring Paul Frees, Bill Conrad, and others from Jay's cartoons. Obviously, this would be my first port of call. The day after we arrived, I left my parents scratching their exasperatedly tourism-oriented heads and caught a bus down to Jay Ward's store. Jay's wife, Ramona, who won't remember this incident, was working behind the counter and told me that the catalog of radio shows was put together by one Skip Craig. Of course, being an avid watcher of the Bullwinkle credits, I recognized Skip's name as the film editor. Mrs. Ward informed me that he worked in the building behind the store. I met Skip Craig 5 minutes later and discovered to my delight that he, too, had been like me as a youngster. Oh, speaking of Mix King and his friends, there they are.
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, trust me, this is going to be long, but I think we're going to be reading these parts. Okay. So, all right. This time. All right. His obsession had been with Spike Jones and the City Slickers. I was crazy about Spike Jones, too. So Skip and I quickly ended up friends. He has since proven to be one of the most generous people I've ever met. Oh, yeah. Generally generous because, you know. Oh, boy. Most rewardingly, I met Jay Ward himself and was instantly charmed by his jolly and easygoing nature. He was sharp, he picked up on my fan worship and wasn't threatened by it. Instead, he patiently answered my irate questions with his razor-sharp memory. Oh, wow. Looking back now, I believe, as corny as it sounds, that trip was meant to be. I returned home with a sense of professionalism, a seriousness of purpose that seemed to go full circle back to those heady feelings I experienced as a 6-year-old cartoon buff. Well, I mean, during 2020, I became a cartoon buff. I believe back in 2019. Yeah, 2019 is where I became a cartoon buff.
Wow.
In the years that followed, I became established in Australia as a cartoon and commercial voice actor and stand-up mimic. During this time, I kept corresponding with the J. Ward folk. Later, I regularly visited Corey Burton in California, and we fervently kept up our holy grail, like visits and interviews with these comic masters until their untimely deaths. In those years, I was able to sit in on some of Ward's recording sessions as a pro, not just a gee whiz fan. Finally, in 1992, Corey Burton and I received the ultimate award for our lifelong championing of Ward Productions. We got to work together in some Hollywood recording sessions with our heroine, June Rocky Foray. My voice actress. You should know this, Rocky. You are a girl. I am a male, Trevor. Shut your mouth.
Stop. Oh my goodness. Really, Trevor?
Ay, ay, ay.
Okay. Wow. We were the actors chosen to recreate the voices from the Bullwinkle show. It was as if Bill Scott and Paul Frees had yelled from their resting place, "Oh damn, let these guys have the job or they'll never shut up." They sure as hell didn't when we were there. Yeah. By the time J. Ward died in 1989, I amassed a vast collection of research material on his studio and professional life. I determined to write this book as a thank you for the hundreds of hours of pleasure he gave me in thousands of other cartoon buffs, and for the fact that I feel he was largely responsible for my career. This then is not a biography of Jay Ward, rather, is an affectionate appreciation of his legacy and the history of his television career. My biggest regret is not doing this book years ago when my idols were still around. Although Bill Scott had asked me to write it during my 1973 visit, I procrastinated, knowing I wasn't really ready. In the 2.5 decades since, my enthusiasm has never waned. And in the actual process of putting the book together, I have delighted to meet many more players from the Jay Ward story, particularly his splendid writers and artists. I'm even more delighted to report that they are as fascinating and funny as I suspected.
And of
And
course, to this day, I'll drop everything for a tape or TV showing of a Jay Ward cartoon. So, as a certain flying squirrel would have it, now here's something we hope you really like.
that's a good voice impression of Rocky, Alex. That's really good.
Thanks.
Yeah, very good.
Thanks.
All right. Okay. So here we are, Chapter 1. What if we pull a rabbit on my hat? Or here's looking up your ancestors.
Oh man. Wow. Isn't it something what Bullwinkle always wants? Honestly, yes, McLord.
He always pulls the raw animals out of his hat. I tried though. I pulled out a lion, a bear, or even a flying squirrel. Yeah. Well, you need to get it right with pulling out your animals out of the hat next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, honestly. Could you ever notice? Because you just noticed you always always pull anything out of your hat.
Yeah. All right. Here's a real
Yes, sir. Like this. Hello, plumber boy. But go, Nard. What are you doing here?
Oh,
I just got here. Yeah, wait. Go, Nard. How you fit in the hat? Don't ask questions you don't prepare to handle the answers to, Witch King.
Oh boy. He is a real fire armored human and art leading the fight against boredom. Luther Nichols on his lifelong friend Jay Ward. Alright. We're getting started right here. Alright, here we go. Okay, here we go. For one brief decade, 1959 to 68, the funniest all-stops out Fazanius cartoons ever made for television emerged from a tiny building on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. This was the home of Jay Ward Productions. Yep, as I can tell. Undoubtedly the most eccentric animation house in the movie capital. Visitors were greeted by a sign on the door proclaiming the only animation studio certified by the Pure Food and Drug Administration. That's something I never expected to light a day.
Spooky. Whoa. Hey, Pesky.
What's up? We're learning about Jay Ward Productions. Sorry. But eccentricity aside, Jay Ward Productions, while never a household name on the Disney scale, or even the Hanna-Barbera scale, became a Hollywood success story, boasting some of animation's all-time beloved characters. Well, yeah, technically. Most satisfyingly, Rocky the Flying Squirrel, Bullwinkle J. Moose, and the other great tune stars from the studio represent the all-too-rare triumph of comic integrity over TV expediency. Yeah.
I think it's called expectancy or whatever.
Yeah, I think so. All right. When Rocky and his friends burst onto America's home screens at 5:30 p.m., November 19th, 1959, it was seemingly just one more in the mushrooming number of TV cartoons. But it soon became apparent that this show, starring the unlikely combination of a moose and squirrel hero team, had something totally different about it. It was off-center, funny, very sharp, and, in the opinion of several television people, almost too good. For example, too hip, too sophisticated, It's certainly too fast-paced for the majority of TV watchers. Oh yeah, around the time Rocky and Bullwinkle aired on ABC.
Huh.
I think before it moved to NBC, and then moved to ABC again, and then NBC again.
Yeah, they always moved to NBC to ADC.
Yeah, I
You
believe
mean
it.
ABCmouse.com? No, Trevor.
It's the American Broadcasting Corporation.
Oh, great. Just step it out of your head, Trevor. Vanna, you here? Yes.
So, Van, as you can see, we're reading a book about J. Ward, Bill Scott, a flying squirrel, and a talking moose, which
Huh.
this book is going good already.
Yep. And you guys seriously missed that I screwed up by saying chef and not chief.
Oops.
Oh, man.
They are partly right. Hip and fast it was. Yet somehow this wickedly witty animated potpourri proved accessible to all manner of viewers, from toddlers to grandparents. Still, during Rocky and Bullwinkle's first 2 seasons, the corporate powers, sponsor, and network kept asking, how is this possible? They kept interfering too, to no avail. Okay. After all, this was unheard of. Satire was normally frowned upon as a dicey prospect in the world of mass entertainment. But in the children's cartoon series, predictably, the suits regarded it as axiomatic that a TV show boasting such perception and wit would only appeal to a so-called elite, or whatever. But the nervous pundits had missed the point. Producers J. Ward and Bill Scott weren't concerned with being clever. They simply wanted 2 things: a high-quality show and one that was consistently funny. Oh yeah, I mean, like, Todd Kaufman and Joey So are kind of like J. Ward and Bill Scott, duo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Bill Scott. You mean Bill Scott, the science cat? But no, Gunnar. And plus, this is not about you. Claire, you're here? Yes. And plus, how do you even appear? I just got here because of that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. This was a tall order in the fiercely competitive rat race of network television. Yet they did the show they wanted year after year. In 1961, Ward told an interviewer, all right, we aim at neither adults nor children. Our goal is to achieve the ultimate in comedy, including subtleties, which escape the youngsters but which evoke response from adults. Speak to anyone who worked with Jay Ward and you get the same fact over and over. He simply went about his creative way quietly and determinedly, remaining steadfast in his one abiding conviction. No one would interfere with his artistic control. Essentially, Ward was a gentle maverick with an enormous sense of fun, although he could be tough, just like me. I mean, like, I'm basically the answer to Jay Ward and Walt Disney. Or of iWorks. His many admirers labeled him a visionary. Not bad talk of grand visions took place at Ward's studio, as writer Alan Birds hastens to explain. Jay would have punctured that balloon very quickly. Actors June Foray, famous as the voice of Rocky the Flying Squirrel, noted, Jay was a very perspicacious man who always knew precisely what he wanted. Invariably, what Ward wanted was something funny, which is what the viewers got. The shows were funny, all right. Yeah, like Rocky and Bullwinkle, Hoppy Cooper, George of the Jungle, and Fractured Flickers.
Yeah.
But beyond this, they felt oddly different from any competing cartoons. Each element within the Rocky show was informed by a mindset and comic sensibility then unique to TV. The writers didn't talk down to the audience, yet they didn't talk up either. Although brilliantly satirical, there is nothing self-conscious or highbrow about the shows. Indeed, a salutary self-deprecation was always lurking in the scripts.
in a
Oh
nutshell,
man.
in a
Hmm.
nutshell, then Messrs. Ward and Scott were two producers who cared not a jot for statistics showing what the viewers might accept, not afraid of the cold by numbers findings of market research. Rather, they flattered their audiences by presuming that people who watch television actually had brains.
What?
Uh,
Oh,
okay then.
wait, Dad. Oh, great. Oh man. I saw the time when Bowser got up his only. Okay, okay. I was gonna say, this is the time. Oh, great. He always know. Why does have brains? Yes, Claire. Oh, great. I saw the time when Donkey Kong gonna use his superpowers of science. That's here elementary, Claire. I don't care.
Ay, ay, ay. Anyway, the audience in turn recognized a truly rare bird among TV shows, one that didn't insult their intelligence. And so, it remains today. Rocky and his friends and The Bullwinkle Show are regarded as the most hilarious cartoons from television's golden age.
Ah,
Internet,
yes. The golden age of animation.
of course,
Gotta love that era.
because the good old Looney Tunes came onto the scene, of course.
Yeah.
International animation journals still place the Moose and Squirrel at the top of polls listing the 100 best TV cartoons of all time. Well, there had been other sharp satirical cartoons like Roger Ramjet, one of Bill Scott's all-time favorites. No one quite brought off animated satire with the aplomb of Ward and Scott, who laced it with subtlety and a quirky charm. George Atkins, a writer of the Fractured Fairy Tale segment, opined the show was always the very special province of a brighter, more or aware young viewer who cherished Bullwinkle's irrelevance, the range of its satire, the presumption of the viewer's higher intelligence, the urgency and seriousness of subject matter, even thickly encased in other ridiculousness, and the always convincing high quality of its voice work.
Of course, from Bill Scott, Paul Frees, June Foray, Walter Tetley, Dawes Butler, Edward Everett Horton, and Charlie Ruggles and the other guys, including William Conrad.
Of course,
All right.
the sheer breadth of subject matter in one of J. Ward's TV offerings was also unique, considered the format of most half-hour cartoon shows. They're either sitcom oriented, like from the Flintstones all the way through to The Simpsons, or they're in the adventure genre, from Johnny Quest through TMNT, which is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Imagine the latter satire by the War Crew.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Also with Cap. Also, no. Okay, what are you about to say, Trevor? Also known as a turtle version of Monkey Simon. Oh my goodness, really, Trevor? Ah! Oh God, Monkey, you just came out of nowhere. Yes, and Trevor, I'm not a teenage ninja turtle because of my voice actor. But it's funny. No,
Oh my goodness. All right. Continuing on.
Okay,
As they were anthologies, they feature endless variations on one theme. Yep, from what I can tell. What Ward and his hearty brand of iconoclasts offered was essentially an anime variety show. The mock adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, in which public and private institutions were lampooned gently but soundly sat cheek by jowl with fairy tales and fables, history and poetry, melodrama, and even the TV format itself. Yeah.
hold on. Let me see. Just know you just. I just know you just. Speaking of Teenage Ninja Turtles, I'm not sure if your Mikey didn't be. I'm not sure if your Mikey didn't notice he didn't mention something because of his voice actor.
Yeah, I heard it. I was gonna say, really, Trevor? What? Continue the book. Okay. And all in the breathless 30 minutes, it was enjoyed by older viewers who would discuss the show's witty cultural allusions the next day over coffee breaks. Meantime, their kids had eagerly lapped up the adventure angle and were recounting the cartoons in the playground. Two two audiences in one. It will be 30 years before The Simpsons repeated this phenomenon. Oh, yeah. I didn't remember he repeated this phenomenon. As well as being years ahead of their time, was their ability to appeal to both. As well as being years ahead of their time, was their ability to appeal to both age groups, albeit on different levels. That truly set the Rocky and Bullwinkle shows apart. The vast majority of TV cartoons are too childish for parents to sit through. Sometimes. And the genre has acquired a deservedly low reputation. Of the hundreds of animated series aired since 1959, most have proved unimaginative and predictably repetitious. How many times can a cat outwit a dog or a bunch of one-dimensional teenagers outrun a ghost? Wait, you mean like,
Scooby-Doo?
Yeah, Scooby-Doo.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, just like Scooby-Doo. Oh my goodness. Wait, did someone mention Ghost? Really, Luigi? Wait, Luigi, how do you get here? I just got here.
Oh my goodness. Leonard Maltin in 1975 aptly described them as assembly line shorts grudgingly executed by animation veterans who hate what they're doing. Oh yeah, just like my other cartoons, like right. Rocky and Bullwinkle stood out as a welcome oasis in a mostly mirthless desert.
Of course, without intending to, Jay Ward and Company gave comedy fans a cult series boasting the twin stamps of intelligence and plain silliness from the first episode to the last. This is a pretty rare achievement in the advertising and ratings-driven world of TV. A show which generates the feeling of a fun-filled secret. This is ours and nobody else gets it. For aficionados, while being thoroughly enjoyed by the mainstream audience.
Yep. All right. Now. Oh, okay. All right. As Bill Scott thought, all smart people love Bullwinkle. The Bullwinkle Show has the most loyal and the most intelligent audience, but it was never number one. It's a special show for special people, and it's long-lived and it's always funny, but never the number one ratings grabber. Yeah. Oh yeah. True. Yeah. A few weeks before his death in 1992, Lloyd Turner, one of Ward's top writers, reflected, "No, when our little gang of misfits were running amok, pissing out all that uninhabited, unsupervised, completely unique, unsaleable piffle, unsaleable to anybody but Jay, that is, we had no idea we were making thunder. Out of the lack of good sense to know any better, we were alchemists making magic. It was a time of enchantment. We created St. Elmo's fire that is burning as brightly today as it did 33 years ago." And that St. Elmo's fire is not to be confused with the movie from Colombia.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, St. Elmo's. You mean Elmo from... No, Gonard.
And don't you dare think about Elmo from Sesame Street.
Wait. I was thinking of Claire X Hot Dog. No, don't remind me of that, Gonard.
Oh, sorry.
Will, you have to bring that up because of the shippings from the Amazing Gumball because of that. What? Honestly, it's pretty necessary. Oh my goodness, Gonard, stop it! Yes, stop it.
Right.
Oh, just who was the elusive Jay Ward? Besides being prime preparator of all the animated nuttiness, he was born Jay, with just the letter J, Tropuan Ward in San Francisco on September 20th, 1920. The unusual middle name was French in origin, being his mother's maiden name. The J had no period after it, so that he could choose a name he wanted later. It was originally going to be Joseph, his father's name. A gifted student, Ward grew up to become a kind of kooky David O. Selznick of animation, and an enigma to all but his closest associates and friends. Of all the legendary names in the labyrinth of cartoon history, Ward is the least chronicled. He is also the one whom animation buffs most want to know about.
Just like us.
Obvious.
Right.
Veteran cartoon director Lou Keller launched with Jay Ward for years, even after the studio ceased activity. He spoke of Ward's childhood.
I might
Jay,
be Lou Keller for this. The part. All right. Right. Jay's parents separated when he was young. His father was in real estate, and he lost a lot of money in the Depression. Then he moved to New York and became a wine wholesaler. Jay was an only child and was brought up by his mother, Juanita. They were very close. She had a rooming house on College Avenue, and she was a well-known singer to dancer who loved to travel. Her professional performing name was Juanita Holmes. It was only years later, after Jay was married, that he finally met up with his father again. Aw. One of Ward's closest friends from the age of 6 was Luther Nichols. As next-door neighbors, they went from grammar school through high school and on to college at the University of California at Berkeley. He recalls, Jay and his mother were not well off. The rest of us were comfortably middle class, but Jay had a mainly improvident childhood, and it affected him. This and the lack of a father figure were really what imbued in him that extreme independence. Jay was very proud and he had a strong sense of needing to make it on his own and on his terms alone. The estrangement with his father was the major influence in his life. Yeah.
Huh. Okay,
During-
so.
Hmm?
Okay, so that's something surprisable. The next door neighbor.
Yeah, true. During his college years, Jay Ward, in collusion with pals Nichols and Alex Anderson, was a principal founder of a mythical institution called the Meadowbrook Athletic Club. Nichols explains. Nichols explains. Meadowbrook was dedicated to the proposition that inferior athletes could, on a given day, beat superior athletes if they had a certain amount of luck, guile, and Jay on their side. We played baseball and basketball for endless hours at Emerson and other playgrounds in the city, and when we weren't playing, we were betting on our favorite big league teams. Jay had a gambler's instinct even then. In fact, I was his prime source of income in those early days.
Wow.
Huh. Okay, so the pals are Nicholas and Alex. You mean Alex? No, Trevor, stop. And
No.
plus, you do it.
Not me, silly. Another Alex.
Oh yeah. It's Alex. Alex Anderson, Trevor. Yeah, which is Nicholas and because there's only pals. Nick. Yeah, he just said he's going. He said his pals, Nicholas and Alex. Wait, Nicholas? You mean Nicole Watson? No, Claire. And plus, you didn't even met Claire. You didn't even met Nicole Watson in the show. Your show. Gumball show, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Anderson adds, the perpetual trophy of the UC gym still bears the Meadowbrook name, attesting to Jay's success. Ward's loyalty to UC Berkeley remained throughout his life. He made regular donations to the Bancroft Library. It was a chairman of the Robert T. Straw Club and an honorary member of the Cal Marching Band. Wow. Nichols recalled some early examples of Ward's lifelong, fun-oriented nature. Jay was noted for his prodigious consumption of ice cream sodas. Never vanilla, that would be Jay. As you would expect, he went for the offbeat flavors like pistachio and rainbow specials.
What the flip?
What? Yeah, what the flip? What the what? Claire, did you just say what? Is that what Gumball always quote? Yeah.
Oh, wow. Who would put pistachio on an ice cream?
Or
I
why?
have no.
Why did I
Maybe
put an
maybe
ice?
I would. Of course you are, Trevor. And plus, what are you about to say, Alex?
I can't believe there's a flippin' pistachio ice cream.
Oh man, honestly, yeah, I tried pistachio ice cream on a steak. Steak ice cream? Are you serious, Trevor?
Oh my
You know,
god.
I would try it too. Oh my goodness, going on, really?
Oh
Oh
wow.
great, of course that sandwich eater. Oh great, Lily, what do you want? I mean, what are you doing? I just got here.
Oh. I remember when Jay got one of his first sports cars. It was a really pretty MG with a right-hand drive. At the time, Jay owned this huge Saint Bernard dog named Brandy, and he placed the dog in the left side of his car. Then he'd slide down the seat as far as he could while he drove, so it looked like the dog was driving.
Oh man, I don't know why the dog could drive. Wait, Saint Bernard? Don't you mean Saint Gonard, which is me? No, Gonard, not you.
If that breed ever exists, called Saint Bernard, I don't know what I think of it, to be honest.
Ah, great.
People would see this big dog with his huge tongue hanging out and brown hair flying about. Wherever they went, people were startled, and Jay would get these double take reactions that he just loved. This was an early indication that Jay was going to be creatively different, one of the great gag men of our time. Yeah. Intriguingly, the story of Jay Ward's outstanding career in animation, via his first star character, the legendary Crusader Rabbit, is a classic example of how showbiz and mortality can often hinge on the twin intangibles of good timing and fate. Oh yes, Crusader Rabbit, aka one of Caden the Rabbit's relatives.
Oh my goodness, really, Trevor? Oh my goodness, what? Oh,
That's
great,
silly.
Trevor. Okay, all right, Claire, can you just do me a favor? Okay, fine. Trevor, this
Silly.
is not about you.
And plus, Trevor, would you do me a favor and stop making jokes out about me, out about other rabbits being my relatives? These are not my relatives.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry. Ward completed his undergraduate work at UC Berkeley, receiving an AB in May 1941. Following this, he commenced postgraduate studies in business management at the Harvard Graduate School of Business Administration. These were interrupted when, despite his poor eyesight, he was drafted.
Well, that had to happen eventually.
Yes, sir.
All right. During World War II, Jay Ward served in the Army Air Corps. Yeah. In 1943, after 2 years of service, he married his wife Ramona, or Billy, as she had been known since childhood.
Yeah, honestly. Did someone say me? No, Billy. What? Why are you here? Why are you always here? I have no idea.
Oh my goodness. They had met in Massachusetts, which is the capital of Boston, while Jay was attending Harvard. Ramona Ward explains, after the war, Jay took his army shirt off and never put on a uniform again. Returning to Boston, he completed his remaining year at Harvard while earning some income as a floor walker in a department store. Even after he returned to Berkeley, he never wanted to work for anyone but himself, despite a lot of good offers. He decided on a real estate. Okay. In 1972, Ward interviewed for the Southern California newspaper. The Tyler explained, I was going into the real estate business in Berkeley, California. I wasn't too crazy about real estate, but I had to eat. Does he eat sandwiches? Gennard, he can eat anything he wants. I don't know why, but he can eat, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Honestly, does he eat eel and lemon? Does he eat eel and lemon flavor? Oh no, Miss Silky.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
In fact, young Relter Ward might have continued plying this half-hearted career choice for years. but for a freak accident that was about to change everything in his life. Oh boy. At the age of 26, Jay Ward, recent recipient of February 1947 and a master's degree, went to work. The post-war housing boom was strong, and J.T. Ward Realty and Insurance Company was soon open for business at 3049 Ashby Avenue, Berkeley, near the majestic Old Claremont Hotel. Oh yeah, the insurance company. Wait. Is this still here? Let me check.
That's a good idea. You should good old check it. Check.
You should.
I don't think that location ever exists anymore. It's now the Toque Saloon. Is that how you call it?
Eh.
He worked from a small green cabin that boasted a bright magenta door. The color magenta was to be Jay's sales gimmick. The rustic building was situated adjacent to a babbling brook. Ramona Ward recalls it was only his first day in the office, and that afternoon he was stepping out the door for the mail. As Jay stood chatting with the postman, a nearby lumberjack truck lost brake power, went out of control, and careered crazily down steep Tunnel Avenue. With the lights against him at the Ashby Avenue intersection, the driver suddenly lurched to his right. Ward caught the full force of the truck as it crashed, full speed, through the front window of his office, crushing him under the vehicle and pinning him against a wall.
Oh my flippin' gosh!
Oh, Mamma Mia! Oh, man. That sounds like it got hurt. Yeah, tell me about it, Vanna.
I really wish this didn't happen to me.
Yeah, honestly, only happens to Lily. What?
Oh my god.
Yeah, at least, or better yet, Caden's Lily.
If I were you, Mix King, I would not crash a truck into one of those offices.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll read the next part.
Yeah, honestly. Okay, what are you about to say? And plus, M. Kim, when did you get? Oh my goodness, please stop. Okay. So plus, M. Kim, what are you about to say? I was gonna say, imagine if Lily crashed into the Lily Moo studio. Oh, no! Stop it, M. Kim!
Okay, let Alex read the next part.
Okay. Seconds before being hit by the runaway truck, Ward was reading a poem to his mailman. This was part of a letter he had just received from his close friends Milton and Barbara Schwartz. Barbara had composed a verse of a good luck gesture to Jay on his first day in the new business. Jay's lifelong pal, Alex Anderson, recalls Barbara felt guilty for a long time afterward, along the lines of, if only I hadn't written that poem. As a Los Angeles Times retrospective article reported, pulled out of the ensuing carnage, it looked like Ward would be blinded and crippled for life. But as it turned out, the result could have been even worse.
I wonder why.
Still, the impact broke one of Ward's knees and caused much further damage, not the least of which was psychological, as Ward's animation director Bill Hertz maintains. That was the start of Jay's lifelong claustrophobia. It haunted him the rest of his days. Ward sustained terrible muscle injuries and was temporarily blinded by grains of the sand which bordered a nearby brook.
Oh dear, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, very terrible.
Very bad. Sheesh.
Oh, God. I don't think he'll ever recover from that. Of course, I know. Honestly, how you always said that, Vanna? Oh, I don't ask question on a prepare an answers to.
Sorry. Ramona Ward recalls this horrific day. She was about to walk their first child when she received an ominous telephone call from the police, informing her that Jay had been rushed to nearby Alta Bates Hospital at Ashby and Regent Street. As the facts became clear, the man had been thrown 40 feet upon collision. One rather college female neighbor answered Ramona's anxious question concerning her husband's whereabouts with a dismissive, "Oh, he's dead."
Even though he's not actually dead.
Yeah, he's not actually dead. And then there's Cranky. He's not. Well, no. And then there's Chunky. He's dead. Really, going on? You had the weapons that?
Really? Okay. Continue on.
Thank you. The convalescence proved long and painful. Ward wore a cast for the next 6 months, followed by leg braces. Indeed, during the first few days, a doctor seriously considered amputating one of Jay's legs. Upon his recovery, Ward returned to real estate, this time a new address, 2 Tunnel Road, Berkeley. But this stint didn't last long. Within a short time, Jay would be the manager of a company pioneering cartoons for the embryonic medium of television. This rather amazing career switched team Jay Ward with his first partner in the animation field and his friend since childhood, Alex Anderson. Also born in September of 1920, 50 days before Jay, Alexander Hume Anderson Jr. was a native of the Bay Area. He and Ward were friends from the age of 9. As Anderson recalled, Jay was a unique individual. At school, he always gave the impression he knew more than the teachers. Just before they separated, Jay's parents had taken him on a round-the-world trip for about 6 months. He came back very sophisticated compared with all us other kids. Jay devoted enormous time and energy to his love of sports. Tennis, baseball, softball, track and field, basketball, bowling.
Oh yeah. Honestly, the time when, oh yeah, speaking of bowling, I do remember you did it, and I didn't any bowl over.
I'll do round 4 whenever my computer gets fixed. Right now, I'm on my mom's computer right now.
Yeah.
Sorry that I'm not talking that much because don't think I ever have a sort of kind of role in this, but
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
How he
Yeah.
managed?
Yeah. I just got something wrong with my throat, so I'm just gonna drink some water.
How he managed to maintain a high grade average and combine this world of sport, I'll never know. He was always very sharp. Later in life, he struck me as P.T. Barnum, the ringmaster, with the world at it as his circus. Jay is the most memorable character I ever knew. Or person, who knows?
Yeah. On speaking of sports, Mexican, did you play Nintendo Switch Sports? Oh yeah, I did in the Mexicans live stream.
I had that game as well. They attended elementary school and high school together, ending up as fraternity brothers at Cal. In their junior and senior high school years in the 1930s, they sold wreaths and Christmas trees each December. Anderson quipped, it was a seasonal business. Does anybody do that anymore? Alex Anderson came from an artistic family. 2 of his uncles were cartoonists, one of them being the famous Paul Terry, head of the New York-based Terry Toon studio. Yeah, I never knew Alex Anderson had Paul Terry as his uncle.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe it. Isn't it White Mario? Hey, it's me, Mario. What the? Who the heck are you? I'm Mario. What the? No. That's not me. You don't even look like me. And plus, I don't even remember wearing sneakers. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god. All right. Terry Toons' 3 decades of theatrical animation have produced such stars as the popular Mighty Mouse, Heckle and Jekyll, and Gandy Goose. During boyhood summers before enrolling at UC Berkeley, Alex, having displayed early artistic ability, apprenticed at Terry's studio. Here, he learned the animation business thoroughly in all departments. I was sort of the heir apparent. My uncle got me started in the whole idea of making cartoons. Even as a young man, Anderson knew he was more interested in writing than drawing. Nevertheless, Bill Scott maintained, Alex is one of the finest and funniest animation artists around and a wonderful draftsman. His storyboards are just a delight to work from. Yeah. While in his early 20s, Anderson saw Walt Disney's newest film, The Reluctant Dragon, in 1949. Or, I mean, not 41. 41. Why do I keep messing up?
Whoops.
The movie contained a sequence in which humorist Robert Benchley previewed a cartoon featuring the genius infant Baby Weems. Unlike traditional full Disney animation, the Baby Weems episode was presented via storyboard sketches, which were bolstered by strong narration. The segment was highly effective and left a big impact on Anderson, who felt that this method could be employed as a viable form of animation. The sequence was done with stills, production shots, and so on. It resembled a moving comic strip, and it had a lot of vitality. He believed he could have produced a cartoon series in this simplified visual style if the story was worth telling. Little did Anderson realize at the time that his moving comic strip idea would finally evolve into what is popularly called limited animation. The Disney film, along with Alex talks with veteran Terry Toons artists who demonstrated cutout animation and other artistic shoutouts, or shortcuts learned in the silent era, proved influential. They instilled in Alex Anderson his eventual idea of producing cartoons from the emerging medium of television. TV was already being regarded as the entertainment big time of the future, and Anderson quickly saw vast potential in employing this simplified method of animation for the home screen. Most importantly, it could be specifically designed for a small budget. In 1946, following college graduation and World War II service in naval intelligence, Alex Anderson commenced another stint at Terry Toons in animation and story editing. This time, he broached his idea to his famous relative, Paul Terry. Uncle Paul, however, wanted no part of this. His cartoons were distributed internationally by 20th Century Fox, and he told his nephew, if I had anything to do with television, Fox would dump me just like that. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Yeah, and there's Paul Terry. Wait, Terry? You mean Terry from Gumball? No, I almost said Kari. I was going to say no, Claire.
Nope.
It's literally Paul Terry, the founder of Terry Toons.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Terry received a lion's share of his funding from the giant movie company. At the time, the film studios looked on TV with a paranoid fear. They regarded the upstart medium as arch enemy number one, feeling certain that the death knell of the motion picture industry was about to be run. Anderson adds, Uncle Paul was actually very smart about it. He told me he understood my enthusiasm because I was at the same age as he was when he started Terratoons. He encouraged me to go ahead, even offering me to use of his camera department. Undaunted, Alex Anderson decided to proceed. With several cartoon concepts brewing in his fertile imagination, he felt determined to give it his best shot. And one of these concepts led to Crusader Rabbit. It resulted from the talks between Anderson and Terratoons background artist Arthur Barsh.
Yep, or Art Barsh.
Yep.
When getting new ideas for a cartoon series, they especially liked the feel of the two-character team. We felt the main character should have a strong personality within a little body. Then we partnered him with a kind of a passive and amiable buddy who was encased in a large, threatening body. This was effectively a comedy team in the classic tradition of physical mismatch, such as Laurel and Hardy, or more recently, Basil and Sybil Fawlty. From this point, the characters became animals, and finally, a rabbit and tiger were chosen. In early 1948, Anderson left Terry Toons and returned to the Bay Area. He said, I was in New York at the time Jay had the truck crash accident. He was recuperating. He was learning leg braces and undergoing physical therapy. I visited him when I returned and talked to him about my idea of animation for television, and in fact, I didn't even think he'd be interested. But he came out of the water like a trout. He wanted us to try TV. Well, I was happy because Jay had recently come back from Harvard, and I knew nothing about how to run a business. Alex asked that Ward was into a lot of ideas at the time. He was an aggressive entrepreneur, and he could see what I wanted to do. And so they decided to go into business. Yep. As a team together, like a duo. Jay Ward was as much as a visionary as Alex Anderson. Although he knew virtually nil about cartoons, he had always possessed a keen eye for spotting talent, and the allure of showbiz appealed strongly to his personality. As Ward recalled, a lot of our friends said that we were tackling a project that was too big, but we just felt that it could be done. Remember, this was 1948 and TV was in its infancy. At the time, Berkeley didn't even have a TV station. Oh, Alex adds,
Sheesh.
we believed it would work for us. There was virtually nothing on early TV but wrestling matches. Like Anderson, it didn't take Ward long to see a healthy future in television, the dynamic new post-war industry. Ramona Ward said, during his recovery, Jay spent a lot of time reflecting on the future, while Jay added, those 6 months gave me lots of time to think. He saw the gigantic potential of TV as a long-term business opportunity. Years earlier in New York, Jay had witnessed a television demonstration which made a lasting impact on him. Ramona relates, we even had a small set which stood idle for months before TV broadcasting began. Jay would say, when it comes, we'll have a show ready. She recalls that early in their daunting new venture, Anderson suffered occasional pangs and cold feet, but Ward would gently spur him on.
And of course, in the summer of 1948, they fully took the plunge. And that May, Jay Ward and Alex Anderson formed Television Arts Productions Incorporated, Berkeley, California. When interviewed about this period, Ward recalled, I think my greatest advantage was that I had no advantages at all. By that, I mean, I just didn't know anything. I was too dumb to know how little I knew. We started, with only $50 and the desire to do it ourselves. And on July 26, 1948, they officially began work in a temporary studio at 111 Sutter Street, Berkeley, home of NBC.
Before the Bullwinkle Show aired on NBC.
That's crazy. The rented office was several floors up. No chance of runaway trucks here.
Thank gosh.
Anderson recalls the rent being a bit steep, but Jay felt the modern office would add some prestige to our little company. Their first undertaking was a pilot film, most of which was made just by the two of them. This was a 15-minute TV proposal featuring 3 cartoon items. Hammock Jones, Dudley Do-Right of the Mounties, and Crusader Rabbit. The pilot was given the umbrella title, The Comic Strips of Television.
Oh yeah, this is before Dudley Do-Right even got greenlit.
Hey, this was the Sigmanator. I'm back in the shit.
What was that for?
Mm.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Alright. Oh, I was saying, oh yeah, this is even before Dudley Do-Right even got greenlit in 1959 for the Rocky and Bullwinkle Show.
So, Dudley Do-Right came before Rocky and Bullwinkle, apparently.
That was surprising.
Yeah.
Yep. And of course, it was mostly written by Anderson. Ward helped contribute story gags. Alex was responsible for the fullest piece of animation. The well-remembered opening scene featuring Crusader Rabbit galloping towards us astride a horse. It quickly became apparent, however, there was simply no way Anderson could complete all the artwork alone. So the intrepid young TV pioneers began hiring a small staff.
Which that's good.
Their first employee was Jerry Ray, a former Disney animator.
Oh yeah, I remember Jerry Ray. Oh yeah. Next came British-born Tom Stanford, who worked at Kodak Cinecamera. Oh wow.
Alex from Army Surplus Store and performed the editing chores. And years later, Stanford won the Oscar for his work on West Side Story, 1961.
And there is Crusader Rabbit.
Yeah, Crusader.
Oh yeah, he looks like he's about to. He looks like he's. Let me see. He looks like he's holding a stick.
Yeah, it kind of does.
All I could think. All I could think it out is. All I could think it out in Lego dimensions. Gandalf just hit the Joker with a stick or staff, whatever it's called.
Ouch. That
Oh,
got hurt.
What happened? Oh yeah, I forgot, Claire. You're not even in part 2 of the Lego dimensions.
honestly, I'm glad the Joker deserved it. He deserved to get hit with a staff like Gandalf. Oh, hi, Kitty.
Yeah, I agree with that. Oh, Kitty, you're here? Yes.
I thought you were at therapy. Well, my therapy session went well, and nonetheless, whenever I see a clown, I just look away.
Yeah, same here. Oh yeah, I was always ask the same thing to my kitty.
Okay. Anyway, in 1981, Anderson told animation historian Carl Cohen, Jay Ward was very much a part of the pilot, not just the business manager. Jay worked as a consultant whenever needed, did some writing, gave guidance, and took charge of the sound production. He also acted as a script editor. In fact, it was Ward who suggested the name of the eventual TV series, seeing their rabbit star as a crusading adventure a la Don Quixote. Alex recalls, one of Jay's main functions on the production end was at the sound recorder studio. That became his main thing. He was good at it. He was always a good editor, and he had the ability to hear if something wasn't right, or if it was a really good tape. He did several episodes in the session. The recording studio was where Ward's true creative gifts emerged. Wayne Stamer, an owner of sound recorders in downtown San Francisco, suggested the actors who are heard on the pilot soundtrack. Jay Ward's first starring voice was Lucille Bliss. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and Lucille Bliss was one of those voice actors. What also was in Invader Sim as well, along with the Smurfs.
Oh man. Oh yeah. I'm so honestly speaking of Zim, I just noticed Rami did called Zim Zam. Honestly,
Yeah.
I would do a Rami impression, so bang that swine! And you will be shy! And your name will be Sam!
Okay, that was not bad.
Yeah, honestly, I felt bad for Zim being called Sam. Oh man.
Who played the heroic little Crusader Rabbits. Born in New York on March 31st, circa 1927, Luce grew up near vocal colleague June Foray in Springfield, Massachusetts, and eventually settled in San Francisco. No, not Springfield from the Simpsons, but the state in Massachusetts.
Yeah. But still, I can't believe they burned the school of Trevor, oh my goodness.
Her mother was a famed concert pianist. While still in high school, Bliss began working in radio shows originating from San Francisco. Her first series was Professor Puzzlewit.
Yeah, the Professor Puzzle. You mean Mr. Puzzles from... No! Please.
In 1948, her mother told her of auditions being held for a cartoon in which the lead was to either a dog or a rabbit. She met Ward and Anderson. Alex told me Crusader is a feisty little character who visually will walk like my young son. He then demonstrated the walk for me. So I said, "Hey, Tiger, I'm Crusader Rabbit." And they yelled out, "That's it! Great! That's just the voice we want." Yeah. Lucille worked with actor Vern Loudon, who played the affable Tiger Rags. Loudon was later a producer-director at KGO, ABC's San Francisco outlet. Character specialist Russ Coughlin and narrator Roy Whaley, both seasoned radio artists, were also snapped up by Television Arts. Like the staff, the voice actors did the pilot on spec, as Ward and Anderson had practically no funds. Ward recalled, "When we first started, we were so dumb we even shot the film upside down."
What?
Oh man.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man. Oh, speaking of Lego Dimensions, Kitty, I hope you're gonna be appeared in like part 4.
Oh, don't worry. Oh, don't worry. I will.
Yeah, same here.
That's really funny to literally take a projector and it came out upside down.
At first, we thought he had goofed, but he hadn't. Okay, that is actually kind of funny. Upside down or not, the pilot film was finally completed in September 1948. In the first cartoon, Hemlock Jones, a zany Sherlock Holmes spoof, the title character is introduced as the world's most amazing detectives. Dr. Sifed warns him about the notorious Siamese twins, Otto and Blotto Pretzel. Otto is a
Yeah.
good twin, and brother Blotto is evil. Siamese. A visual gag shows Blotto drinking and Otto suffering the hangover. Scientist Otto develops a gas called Votane, which can turn Democrats into Republicans and vice versa.
Huh?
Huh?
I don't know why.
Oh, man.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, very ridiculous. Yeah, why would Otto do that? Wait, you mean Otto from what? Don't finish that sentence, Trevor!
Oh my goodness. When Blotto steals his brother's formula, Souffle seeks the great detective's help. Hemlock Jones was a series for which Alan Anderson held the highest hopes. Even though he told Carl Cohen, Jones was not all that personable character. Jerry Ray felt Hemlock Jones was a great idea. Huh. The second item was Dudley Do-Right of the Mounties. Rather different from the cartoons we know today, even Dudley's surname is unhyphenated. This story is set in Deep Freeze Landing. Or later, then in like the Yukon.
Mm.
Uh-oh. Wait, what? Uh-oh.
What's going on?
This impersonation stuff again.
Uh-oh.
Well, what? Well, what's wrong?
I don't know. It's been on for like, I don't know, many months now. I mean, it's already over like months ago. Okay, thank God it was brief, though. It was brief. Okay.
Now, let's continue.
Yep. The entire cartoon, The Battle of Bashful Bess, unfolds in Robert W. Service rhyme, as Dudley, inspired by Nelson Eddy, gives chase to the hissable villain Sidney the Snake Snodgrass. This is before Snidely Whiplash.
I really like that.
Who has adopted the fair and lovely heroine Bess Blushmore before Nell Fenwick. Dudley sports a somewhat effeminate voice, and the episode effectively parodies old-time Yukon melodrama.
Hmm.
One of Alex's... Go ahead.
Oh, okay. One of Alex's obvious influences was Tex Avery, who had directed two fine theatrical cartoons based on Service poems, Dangerous Dan McFoo from Warner in 1939, and The Shooting of Dan McGoo, an MGM cartoon in 1945. Bess even resembled Avery's MGM six-foot heroine from Red Hot Riding Hood, another MGM cartoon from 1943.
Oh yeah, there is.
Crusader Lad, yeah.
Oh yeah, I gotta love that picture.
Yeah.
I would just imagine if they were.
That goddamn existence.
I would just imagine Crusader Rabbit being revived if during back in the day. I just imagined.
Yeah, I could seriously imagine that.
You can't say that for anything.
Oh my god. Completing the reel was Crusader Rabbit, which proved to be the successful item. Anderson notes that Crusader was modeled after MGM's freckled, buck-toothed 1940s child actor Jackie Butch Jenkins. The rabbit's appearance in the pilot is different from his later series look. Here he boasts... I'm trying to speak. Here he boasts whiskers and a slightly grungy demeanor, while Jerry Ray softened him for the TV episodes. In fact, the eventual TV show continues on from this episode, in which Crusader ventures to Texas to help his cousins Jackrabbits, were being systematically banished from their home state. This means a hostile circus tiger named Rags to assist him, just kicking off the fabled careers of television's first run original animated stars. Okay. All right, so now
Yeah.
we make to chapter 2, Crusader Rabbit, his rise and fall, or you are now entering Frostbite Falls.
Yeah.
In October 1948, Jay Ward and Alex Anderson presented their comic strips audition film to NBC. Ward flew to New York City and met
Don't interrupt.
Anyway, NBC's director of video film shows. Jay learned that the network only wanted a 5-minute show. Leonard Key, a close friend of Ward and Anderson since college, recalls the NBC guys called Jay and said, "We like Crusader. We're impressed with it. It has potential." Then they asked him, "But who are you guys?" I mean, Jay and Al had no track record in the business. They said, "We're from Berkeley, and you have a 3.5-minute pilot." Well, fine, but we want a responsible person behind it. So they struck a deal with Jerry Fairbanks.
Oh, yeah, I remember Jerry famed Fairbanks. He was a filmmaker associated with Paramount at that point.
But of course, it's that part. I'll skip that part then. Had signed an exclusive 5-year contract with NBC in January 1948, appointing him sole supplier of all film shows for the fledgling TV network. Unlike many of his Hollywood cronies, the savvy Fairbanks recognized television's huge potential early on, much like Ward and Anderson.
True, yeah. Oh, and this is where James and Son came to Hollywood. Oh, yeah.
Yep, Jay's next stop was Hollywood, where he met Fairbanks, who became the nominal supervising producer of the project. Then Keyes explains, Jerry Fairbanks, financed by NBC, agreed to guarantee the Crusader Rabbit series to get behind it. If he could own the negatives.
Oh, yeah. Anyway. Anderson told animator scholar Fred Patton, actually, Fairbanks has been identified to use as an NBC film advisor who would handle print and distribution. To this day, I have no clear idea what his contractual arrangement with the network might have been. Don't interrupt me, no offense.
You always keep saying not if I yet. Okay, shut up.
That's what I thought. Okay, continuing on. In any case, Fairbanks' television arts signed an agreement to produce for 130 episodes of Crusader Rabbit. NBC supplied the money to Fairbanks, who paid for raw film stock and other production costs, advancing a sum each week to TAP for animation and voice recording fees. Fairbanks would handle the marketing and publicity. Work commenced on the first 5 Crusader episodes in late 1948, and Ward and Anderson began hiring an art department. The staff of television arts quickly swelled in size and talent. Early artists included Chuck Fuson and Spalding White, both of whom had been with Disney, former Terratoons director Volney White, commercial illustrator Russ Shaw, and 2 newspaper cartoonists, Ted Martin and Bob Bastian, who was a longtime political cartoonist for the San Francisco Times. I told you, do not interrupt me while we're reading the story. No offense.
God damn it!
Swear to God. The first staff members, like Ray and Stanford, stayed on. The camera department soon included Robert Olson and Jack Williams, later with NASA. Jay Ward prepared the exposure sheets for the cameraman. 30 years on, Jerry enjoyed recounting the feeling of fun and camaraderie. Camaraderie. Is that how you pronounce that word? I'm not sure.
Come on. Jesus, oh, great. Is that hard to pronounce? Oh, great, next Lord. I know.
Yeah. Which was ever present in the Berkeley-based enterprise. Several more excellent animators were soon hired, including Jerry Bowen and Bob B. Miller. Some, like Ray and Lee Mishkin, would be back with Ward 11 years later on Rocky and His Friends. For a month or so, Even the legendary Grim Natwick toiled on Crusader. Natwick had created Max Felicia's Betty Boop and helped on the Snow White character for Walt Disney. Young first animator Bob Mills provided a quick study, starting as an inker and eventually becoming the show's production manager. Television arts soon moved to a permanent location, which is Sunset Boulevard. I don't know. I believe. New studio complex was crowded, cramped, and hot, being,
Nice.
being composed of a converted garage with an apartment above it.
Oof.
This facility was located in the backyard behind Anderson's parents' house at 2733 Stort Street, Berkeley. The kitchen and living room became the art department, while the writers worked from the bedroom.
Ooh.
The business office was downstairs in the garage next to the camera. But who the heck is
Why?
Tom Lever?
Hey?
Huh.
No, it's my friend. Just got an element.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, then.
Well, oh my goodness, how many pages are there? I have no idea, Mixed Lord.
It's going to be in separate parts, don't worry.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
With several scripts ready, the first set of soundtracks was recorded. Lucille Bliss remembers, we'd record at night from 9 o'clock, sometimes until 4 in the morning. Ay. Somehow, if there were recording sessions from around 9 p.m. to 4 a.m., I would get really tired and I wanted to go to bed like really badly. Jesus, Mother of Lord. If it's a troll, then I swear to God. Oh my God. Then stop interrupting me. I'm trying to speak. Then I had to go straight to college. The studio was on Powell Street. Do 1 week worth of episodes. She adds, there wasn't much money at times. She would always joke and say, all right, it's pay time. Who needs it the most this week? Why are you blowing into the microphone every time when I'm talking? I was saying the studio was on Powell Street and we do 1 week's worth of episodes. She adds, there wasn't much money at times. They will always joke and say, all right, it's pay time. Who needs it the most this week? Bliss, who received $5 an episode from the pilot cartoon, saw her earn sort of $30 a second following the sale to NBC. Okay. When TAP's artwork was completed, the materials were again shipped to Hollywood, where Jerry Banks supervised post-production at his Sunset Boulevard studio. He had background themes from some stock music library, then dubbed the tracks, and had Prince struck. Trying to speak right here. Excuse me. The total cost per cartoon was roughly $2,000 $2,500.
However, don't worry, you live in Nebraska, you know.
Jeez.
Can you? Oh my goodness.
All right. Anyway, I was saying the total cost per cartoon was roughly $2,000. Swear to God, if you interrupt, I swear to God, if I got interrupted one more time, I don't know. The total cost per cartoon was roughly $2,500. Fairbanks said, Crusader Rabbit was very limited. They often contain fewer than 4 cells per foot compared to 10 times or more the amount for full. They often contain fewer than 4 cells per foot, compared to 10 times or more the amount for full animation. They would simply plan a storyline so that we could reuse some of the animation with a different background. Where theatrical animation that cost thousands. Alright. Oh my god. Where theatrical carts animation that cost thousands of dollars per minute of the film, television arts managed to make each episode cost efficiently, for what are now unbelievably low prices. January 1949 saw a flurry of press releases. One was in broadcasting.
Bless.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to remove you because you keep interrupting me much, Mom. Sorry.
Fine.
Yes. One notice in broadcast and telecasting read: animation for Crusader Rabbit as a series will be known is to be done by Television Arts Productions, Berkeley. The firm was recently organized by J. Troplon Ward, San Francisco radio producer, and Alexander Anderson, former animator and story editor at Terry Tins. At this point, Television Arts had 5 films in the can, and an additional 13 scripts is ready. By in early February 1949, NBC decided not to go ahead with the original plan. After viewing the first 5, they felt that instead of networking the series, it would do better in syndication.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Daily Variety reported, as a result of the NBC snub, Fairbanks will peddle the pics himself. The firm will make 130 reels and offer them to video outlets. In fact, Crusader Rabbit was not actually syndicated, rather, it was sold by Fairbanks via a method known as spot marketing. That is, the cartoons were distributed to individual NBC stations with built-in commercials.
Ooh.
Following a promotional party thrown by Fairbanks for the media press and their kids on March 25, 1949, NBC occasionally test screened the early cartoons. They finally ordered, for example, and paid for 65 more editions of the series in August. Television Arts went back to work, and the 65 episodes presented a rate of 5 a week were completed by November 1949. This brought the total to 70 episodes, containing 4 complete adventure serial stories, or crusades, as Fairbanks' publicity crew nicknamed them. There followed a 2-month grace period until January 1950, when NBC ordered the remaining 60 episodes of the advertised package. The 60 new segments announced to 3 more crusades. With the additional 60 episodes on order, the television arts team was kept busy from New Year through the summer of 1950. Meanwhile, Fairbanks spent considerable time selling the show on a city-by-city basis to NBC affiliates.
Ooh. Looks like they got a sponsor now. When the Carnation Milk Company came aboard as sponsor mid-June, Diminutive Rabbit was ready to make his TV debut.
Yep. Fairbanks followed up with some promotional work. Our hero was billed as being 2.5 carats tall. Crusader Rabbit finally premiered in Los Angeles on August 1st, 1950 at 6 p.m. on station KMBH. Ultimately, the series ran on more than 200 stations.
Wow.
That was a lot. Television Arts Crusader Rabbit series proved that limited animation was indeed a viable TV prospect. The chancy experiment had worked, without realizing the full impact of what they had done at the time. Anderson and Ward had made a not inconsiderable mark upon show business history. Indeed, Crusader Rabbit was the foundation for what is now a Okay, this is the fake Dave Pilkey. I don't know why. Did Pizza Chuck meet the real Dave Pilkey? I believe the one in StreamYard is a fake.
Is that the same Dave Filthy from Beast?
I know, but I just don't know if I could. Oh, okay. Let me continue reading. Without realizing the full impact of what they had done at the time. Indeed, oh, yeah, I read that part. Indeed, Crusader Rebels and Foundation World is now a multi-million-dollar TV phenomenon. In a very real sense, Anderson's cheap little moving comic strip was one of the most influential things to happen in animation for many years. Watching the old episodes today, Alex Anderson feels they're really pretty primitive. While this is no doubt an accurate assessment by today's technical standards, the show's visual quality is secondary to its overall impact on future TV programming. Certainly, Crusader's influence on Hanna-Barbera's 1957 Rough and Ready, the show that truly kickstarted the TV's animation bagwagon, is undeniable. As Jerry Banks told Gary Grossman for Saturday Morning TV, at the rock bottom prices that the networks or stations were able to pay to programming then, we had to develop shortcuts. To keep the show within the minuscule budget, the well-made soundtracks carried the momentum. The format reappeared in 1959 with Ward, Rocky, and his friends, albeit far more frantically paced. The animation was described by Anderson as sort of movie storyboards with a walk cycle. In fact, the movement is limited to stationary cutout figures with mouth movements, eye shifts, and various changes of expression created on cell with sheet overlays. Bob Miller recalled, "We kind of invented limiting animation with the 6 basic mouth movements. We pioneered slugging the boards and timing the stuff down to the second." What? Okay, I don't know why more random people that I don't know of keep appearing. I should have set the stream link to private.
Oh, great.
I should have kept making the stream private. Instant deletion to some people, to the people I know. Sheesh.
Let's just keep her calm.
Yeah. We pioneered slugging the boards and timing the stuff down to the second. We didn't have the budget to edit it later, like they did in theatricals. Animator John Sperry, who joined the Enterprise in mid-1950, added, "They didn't use cell paints on cells, but Carl Lake were." Who will put Carl Lake were? No. Denzer, this is not your brother's stream. This is my stream. I don't know how you got here. Well, Pesky's here in my stream right now. Bold black outlines were employed to ensure that the artwork stood out on the tiny TV screens of the era. To compensate for the visual restrictions, audience interest was maintained by much camera movement and those clever soundtracks in which the narrator described most of the action. Jerry Ray told Fred Patton, "If you got something like $2,700 or $3,000 an episode, so it worked out to about $3 a foot that stuff was produced for. $3 per 35 millimeter film foot in 1949 when we started this stuff. From the outset, the writing set a high standard. When Crusader went to air, it not only had the small fry spellbound, it had the same effect as the concurrent. Okay, I don't know why. I should have made the stream private. And Clee, Alex, Mix King, and Max King. Dang it.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
I know.
Hey, Dancer, can you hear me well? Can you hear me real quick?
Oh, great.
Oh, God, you said angry bitch. Okay.
Oh my god. I don't know why these random people showing up. I don't know why these random people show up. Um,
Okay.
Unexpected.
Okay. Why did it say Pootie Man?
Guys,
Oh my god.
I'm smoking pot.
What the? Oh my goodness. I'm-
Okay, that was uncalled for.
Good. Hey, hey, hey.
Okay, that was uncalled for.
I'm a retired bitch. I'm a retired bitch. Marry me.
Honestly, I don't know why, but it's uncalled for. Let me just say.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know why. Oh well. Okay. When Crusader went to air, it not only held a small fry spellbound, and at the same effect as a concurrent puppet show Time for Beanie. The humorous scripts began attracting an unexpected adult following. Animator Bob Mills observed Jay and Alex shared a similar sense of humor. They both laughed at the same things. Anderson's storyboards were beefed up with extra gags by Hal Goodman and Lloyd Turner. Turner would be one of Jay Ward's top cartoon writers a decade later. Lloyd came up to the Bay Area for a while and worked on the show. Now, Alex. Turner recalled, in 1948, Alex was in Los Angeles. He gone to see the Cartoonist Guild because he was looking for writers. He got my name, and I went to see him at a motel in Beverly Hills. I drew a few pictures for him and told him a few jokes, and he said I was hired. Would I be able to work in Berkeley? I said yes, because my dad lived up there and worked in a bank in Oakland. So I went up and I met Jay, and our personalities clicked. It was like love at first sight. Upstairs in his converted garage, they had a cubicle-like deal with all the artists in a tiny area where they put me and another writer named Ralph Goodman. So I wrote gags and turned them into Alex. That only lasted a few months because they ran out of money for writers, but it was a real interesting time being in on the ground floor as far as early TV cartoons were concerned. I knew Alex for many years and played a lot of golf with him and Jay. Actually, Jay and I were the real buddies. I never really got to know Alex that well as a person. Another staff member was singled out by Anderson as a major contributor to the unique comedy within the cartoons. Joe Curtin, a Canadian artist who had worked at Terryton's and hated the place as much as the boss's nephew, calls Anderson very clever. He was a big help in writing, and he had a great sense of humor. What would or wouldn't work? He was a marvelous influence. Jerry Ray added, Curtin was a very funny guy from a place called Guelph, Ontario. One of Curtin's tasks involved transcribing the narration into script form from Anderson's storyboards. Once on air, Crusader and Rags quickly proved popular. The format was timeless. Our two heroes lived in an elfin glade called Galahad Glen and would travel anywhere to fight for right. One adventure took the rabbit and tiger to India to prevent Rag's cousins, the Indian tigers, from having their stripes removed to make India ink. No offense to any of the Indians out there. Another great tale landed the boys in merry old England of the 10th century, defending the honor of Sir Chester Chilblain's lovely daughter. In a really wild plot, found them journeying to Ireland to dispose of a giant named Finn McCool
13th.
the 13th.
Yeah.
20 of the who had thoughtlessly driven all the leprechauns from their homeland. These truly imaginative stories feature great villain characters like the un uh, I don't know what anxious Dudley Nightshade, mad scientist Belfry Q Bats, whose secret fantasy was to be a cowboy star, the two-headed breeding dragon named Arson and Sterno, the Rajah of Rimwater, babyface Barracuda, and the menacing Black Bilge the pirate, whose inevitable pair was named Garlic. Our two stalwart pals received an occasional assist from Garfield Groundhog. plucky crusader with his memorable husky voice became an identifiable hero to the younger viewers. His slow-talking sidekick Raglan T. Tiger, Rags for short, proved a likable second banana. Like Time for Beanie, the Crusader TV show was a clever departure from Alex's uncle's Farmer Alfalfa and similar creaky silent vintage cartoons, then being sold for the new home screen. A neat combination of comic, chapter, play, adventure, laced with suspense and hip dialogue, Crusader Rabbit, like Jay Ward's later shows, immediately appealed to two age levels. Grandma Rennie.
Alright. Alright. Who the fuck is your grandma Ren?
Never heard of her. Alright. The pun-laden script spoofs dramatic conventions, movies, songs. In fact, whatever inspired Anderson and Ward at the time. The show occurred at one of those.
Who the fuck was the reason?
The show occurred at one of those cyclical times when comedy attitudes change. During World War II, I said during World War II, the escapist.
Can you please stop interrupting him?
I don't like World War II.
I was saying, during World War II, the escapist humor had been brash, broad, and loud. Abbott and Costello movies, the Wild Warner Brothers cartoons of Bob Clampett, Bob Hope's radio show, etc. By the time Crusader Rabbit debuted, a satirical edge had crept in. This would be an era of clever verbal humor, led by Time for Beanie, Stan Freberg, and Mort Saul. So the satiric tone was tempered in Alex Anderson by his storytelling ability, which was marked by vivid imagination, gentle wit, and a quiet style all of his own.
I'm a go bust.
I was gonna say. This will be an era of clever verbal humor led by Time for Beanie, Stan Freberg, and Mort Saul. The satiric tone was tempered in Alex Anderson by his storytelling ability, which was marked by vivid imagination, gentle wit, and a quiet style all his own. He was admired by many skilled artists who hung on Anderson that most inviolable titles, a cartoonist. Bob Gannon, manager of Animation House TV Spots, referred to a purity and innocence within Anderson's satire. Bill Scott felt that Alex was never topped as a writer in this field. Examples of Al Anderson's influence on Scott's later scripts, Rocky and His Friends, can be found in trademarks like the narrator saying, "As our story opens today," or "Don't miss our next episode." Indeed, as early as the second. I was gonna say, examples of Anderson's influence on Scott's later scripts, Rocky and His Friends, can be found in trademarks like the narrator saying, "As our story opens today," or "Don't miss our next episode." Indeed, as early as the second episode, Crusader breaks the fourth wall and talks back to the narrator. Sometimes with Bullwinkle. Yeah, some things. Okay. As Leonard Key put it, Jay and Alex were a magnificent team. Alex was a terribly funny man and brilliantly creative. He was shy and self-effacing, even at school, but he had a lot of the actor in him. And Jay was insanely brilliant at promotion and ideas. He was one of the greatest showmen who ever lived, even though he was plagued by his lifelong nervous condition stemming from the accident. An early review gave the show a terrific rap. And so it's says, Crusader Rabbit is a lovable, determined doll of a rabbit whose creators, Fairbanks Studios, put him through paces and feed him dialogue apparently designed for children. But with such tongue-in-cheek that at times the nightly 5 minutes could hold its own with a popular threesome, Buckler, Brandon Ollie, no longer seen locally.
But definitely, one thing Crusader Rabbit has over J. Ward's later cartoons was Fairbanks' professional soundtracks. Regrettably, most of Ward's early Rocky and His Friends shows were badly dubbed and mixed in Mexico City.
Which was animated by Gamma Productions in Mexico.
Right. In Crusader, the two real comedy sound effects were addressed intelligently. and the vibrant music for the backgrounds and was well chosen and unobtrusive.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Besides,
Yeah. Man, is it gonna be a long stream? A mixed like I don't know.
there was a second grace period after the first 130 episodes were completed. This lasted 6 months, from July 1950 until January 1951. To keep the staff busy while NBC Picks made up its corporate mind to renew, Ward was able to obtain animation work for some early television commercials, including spots for Italian Swiss Colony wine, Kraft Cottage cheese, and Carnation's Friskies dog food, sponsor Crusader. How many? During this period, some new cartoon ideas began to emerge from the Berkeley-based animation company. One was the storyboard for the Adventures of Duffy Dobbs, Private Eye, while sundry other TAP concepts include Samson of Swellwater Creek, Gloria Month. One was the storyboard for the Adventures of Duffy Dobbs, Private Eye, while sundry other TAP concepts included Samson of Swellwater Creek, Gloria Monday, and Warnwood Scrubs. Most significant, however, was a presentation storyboard called The Frostbite Falls Review. This proposed featured a colorful array of creatures, including the very first appearance of our heroes, Rocky the Flying Squirrel and Bullwinkle, billed here as the French-Canadian Moose.
Ooh.
A year or so before, Anderson had a dream in which he attended a poker party with a large, goofy moose. I brought along this stupid moose who was doing card tricks. I woke up feeling embarrassed. I thought, you've been working too hard. Anderson told the San Francisco Chronicle, there's something majestic about a moose. They're macho, but they have... There's something majestic about a moose. They're macho, but they have... Will you quit interrupting me? I'm trying to narrate. There's something majestic about
Why
a
are
moose.
you so angry over that? Are you so angry over me? I'm just trying to be comedic for the one time since I haven't been in the street for a long time.
Yeah, but you keep interrupting. You keep interrupting me while I'm reading this book. I don't know why. It's been over for like months. But here we are doing it. There's something majestic about a moose. They're macho, but they have a comic aspect. With that schnuzzle up there. There are a few other creatures still begging to be caricatured. At this time in Berkeley, there was a card dealer named Clarence Bullwinkle. Anderson recalls, he ran a Ford agency on College and Claremont Avenues in Oakland. She and Alice agreed that Bullwinkle was a funny name, and after spelling it, the moose had his monkey. As for the squirrel, Anderson explained, I had worked on Mighty Mouse and he flew around. I didn't understand the mechanics of how a mouse flew, or for that matter, how Superman flew. The flying squirrels do fly, and I gave him the mantle of superness without having to stretch the truth. Actually, Rocky was originally to be a plain squirrel with artificial wings.
Yeah.
You look a little laggy before. Husky.
I was going to say. Actually, Rocky was originally to be a plain squirrel with artificial. Please stop interrupting me right now. Whenever I read, don't interrupt.
You already crushed. Crushed.
Oh my goodness.
How many times do I get interrupted every single damn stream?
Okay, fine. I'll stop being stupid now.
That's what Okay. My hand needs a break. My hand hurts when I bang my desk. Ow. I just don't know why. Actually, Rocky was originally to be a plain squirrel with artificial wings.
Whoa.
In Frostbite Falls review, Rocky and Bullwinkle were just two characters in a large cast. Others included Sylvester the Flock, Sylvester the Fox, Flora Fauna, Blackstone the Crow, and Oski the Bear. The primaries had these animals broadcasting a television show from their own station located in the North Woods. While the moose and squirrel look familiar, they have none of the touches that Bill Scott gave them 8 years later in the Rocky pilot.
I got shit. Wee. I don't want.
I thought you wanted to stop interrupting people. Except that Rocky was intended to fly to the others that stayed. Anderson explained, "It seemed like a good format to make satirical comment on TV, including ourselves." Cartoon historian David Morales interviewed Jay Ward in 1980 and learned the origin of the name Frostbite Falls. As a kid, Jay was a big fan of the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers. Before Alaska had become an American state, International Falls, Minnesota was known to millions who heard radio reports on the nation's weather as the icebox of America. Living in America's icebox was Jay Ward's idol Bronco Nagurski, who owned and operated a gas station in International Falls. This was a natural for Ward when they needed a setting for a spinoff series for his eventually lawsuit-plagued Crusader Rabbit. Several scripts were prepared, but the Frostbite Falls proposed failed to sell. And here it is.
Whoa, they certainly do look familiar.
Yeah, there's Bullwinkle.
I mean, the bear character was later reconstructed in Hoppity Hooper. The fox, crow, and fauna characters were never made it into the cut.
Right.
Meantime, Crusader Rabbit was finally given its third go-ahead. NBC picked up TAP's option in January 1951 for a further set of 65 episodes. This time, however, the number requested 5 episodes a week. For the previous batch, the Berkeley team had been completing only 4 weekly. Anderson says, "We did 195 episodes, and that consisted of the 3 sets. Well, on the third batch, we decided it was just getting too difficult to maintain a pool of talent in Berkeley, so we discussed shifting to Los Angeles." Television Arts moved to Hollywood in February 1951. Anderson said, "I finally bit the bullet. We worked from the animation facility. You couldn't really call it a studio behind a big market in Hollywood. It was a row of bungalows. I was writing up here in Berkeley and constantly going down to LA with the storylines. I rented a motel room, and we completed the third set." Ramona Ward recalls, "The studio was on Kingsley Drive off Sunset Boulevard. Jay and I took the family, and for a year or so we lived down by the beach in Santa Monica." Anderson spent most of his time in Berkeley as the writing and voice recording remained up north. Several of the staff were interested in relocating, so Ward had to recruit about 50% new people, some of whom answered an ad that TAP placed in Variety. Bill Littlejohn, who later animated the Dudley Do-Right episode opening in 1961, remembers his first association with Jay Ward 10 years earlier, when Television Arts moved to Los Angeles. Littlejohn was business agent for the Screen Cartoonists Guild when Ward came to register his Hollywood setup. Bob Mills and Chuck Fuson came down from Berkeley, while Jerry Ray and John Sperry rejoined the TAP team. Ray told Fred Patton, "I did the storyboards. Alex wrote the stuff, and I boarded it. The writing was really excellent. I have nothing but the sincerest admiration for Alex. And Jay also, because Jay always had the feeling for that type of humor. Although Jay was not a writer, he was able to spot it, bring it along, develop it, coddle it, encourage it, and laugh it along." Phil Hertz recalled the meeting his future boss in 1951 when Ward visited famed cartoon studio UPA, which was the same guys who did Mr. Magoo and the Jolly Frolics and Gerald McBoing Boing. The artist there told Ward how they all rushed home to watch Crusader every evening. "When he came by, we said, 'Hey, he's got this great kids show on TV. This guy's got great stories.' That's what we were impressed by, because drawing doesn't impress us that much. And we said, yeah, this is the way it should be done. So we cut out from work and get home by 5:15 or 5:30, whenever it was, to watch Crusader Rabbit. When he came down to visit us, he was thunderstruck to see that we were just as interested in what he was doing as he was in what we were doing. But so much for the best laid plans of rabbits and men. J. Ward soon discovered there would be no further crusades. 6 months after moving production to Los Angeles, 65 new episodes were in the can.
Dwayne?
A Longfellow stretch began in July 1951, while they waited for a renewal, this time in vain. Anderson jokes, "The patient was a success, but the operation died. NBC didn't renew. We weren't particularly worried. We just regarded it as another hiatus. When you're that young, your ego is pretty indestructible." By the end of the summer, Ward began laying people off. Some accepted outside work. Finally, in early 1952, Ford and Mills signed to the bad news, packed up all television arts belongings, and returned to Berkeley, where the artwork was put into storage.
Oh, man. That's pretty bad.
Yeah. Anderson recalls, "For the moment, there was no income, so I took a job with the Ad Agency Guild, Bascom and Bond Figley in San Francisco. Jay went back into real estate, along with several other things. As usual, he had a lot of irons in the fire, like Ward Walker Coffee. This was a gourmet coffee 20 years ahead of its time, and Mr. Dingle's soda fountain drinks, as well as various other business ideas. And he played a lot of tennis and golf. Anyway, the so-called hiatus turned out to be 5 years in length before Crusader Rabbit was revived. These 5 years involving a complicated legal battle were to prove a dark period for television arts. In hindsight, Ward and Anderson would doubtless have preferred hibernating with the Rabbit and Tiger and Galahad Glen. Before winding up the Hollywood operation, Fairbanks and Ward had become concerned that NBC wasn't promoting its smaller shows, in particular Crusader Rabbit. Instead, the network appeared to be throwing all of its resources into their splashy variety spectaculars featuring Dina Shore and more, and others. Ward, convinced that his Rabbit's marketing potential was being squandered, came to an agreement in which Fairbanks would buy the cartoons back from NBC and promote them himself, with profits to be split 50-50 between TAP and Fairbanks. And so on February 1st, 1952, Fairbanks signed a contract to buy back all his films from the network for $170,000.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot. Yeah, a lot. Honestly speaking of how long is this? We already asked it next month.
Here we go.
It happened again?
Dang.
Yep. Picture.
Anyway, Fairbanks making lots of money. Back.
You got this bad! No, I'm not feeling the same. I can't even do it. Oh, great. Really makes it. That. Whatever.
Fairbanks planned to market his library via distributor consolidated television sales after the show started to new TV stations in America and Canada. Unfortunately, as Bob Gannon recalled, Jerry Fairbanks had been in financial difficulties all his life. Fairbanks couldn't afford to pay NBC the lump sum, so the network mortgaged his films in a scheme whereby he would pay back by the sum of $8,000 per month. But even this proved risky. The awful and bustling TV industry had rapidly
I didn't know
outgrown.
you were talking. Your mic is so goddamn.
The awful and bustling TV industry had rapidly outgrown Fairbanks Productions, whose older film shows already looked a little shop-worn. Consequently, his income had dropped markedly.
Oh, no.
Within several months, it became clear to the NBC brass that Fairbanks would default, so in January 1953, they foreclosed. Anderson said, "Fairbanks had put Crusader and his other TV series up as collateral, but he couldn't repay, so NBC auctioned the films off." Fairbanks had put Crusader and his other TV series up as collateral, but he couldn't repay, so NBC auctioned the films up.
I'm done.
Quit interrupting me. I thought you said you're gonna stop interrupting people, but guess what? I rather not. I rather not. Not. I. I would not. I'm gonna try again. Fairbanks had put Crusader and his other TV series up as a collateral, but he couldn't repay, so NBC auctioned the films off. I remember the morning we found out. Jay called me and he said he'd seen this announcer in the Hollywood Reporter, which said NBC has 195 Crusader Rabbit films on the block. Ramon Ward recalls, Jay was very upset. He flew to New York that same day and tried to put a stop on the sale. Sadly, he was unsuccessful. And this was just the start of the protracted troubles that followed.
Oh my.
By June 1953, NBC has sold all Fairbanks films, including the Little Rabbits Crusades, to Consolidated Television Sales, which had a distribution contract with Fairbanks. But when this company also went belly up in mid-1954, it was bought by wealthy Shoal Bunsel. Stop interrupting me right now. I told you to stop, but you didn't stop. Please. This is why I should have made the stream private before making it public. Why me? Shrewd and well-heeled Los Angeles businessmen who, according to Jerry Ray, specialize in buying bankrupt companies with worthwhile assets. Thus, Bonsall acquired the negatives to the Crusader Rabbit films and continued their distribution. I know, but it's just I don't like the way you interrupt me while I'm reading this story. Remember when we went Scooby-Doo 2? I got interrupted a lot. Jeez.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. Thus, Bonsall acquired the negatives to appreciate. Meanwhile, Anderson and Ward were far more concerned with their immediate financial well-being, always under the impression that the original deal with Fairbanks guaranteed them half the profits on the series. They found they were suddenly being stonewalled by everyone now involved in the Crusader library, all of whom denied any such rights existed. Alex said, Jay and I always felt it was a strange coincidence that the NBC executive who brought Fairbanks into the picture, Rose Johnston, subsequently quit the network and joined Jerry Fairbanks Inc. as the vice president. We certainly were not a party to the NBC alone and maintained that our interest in the films could not thus be disregarded. And so, on October 19th, 1953, Television Arts Productions went to trial in Los Angeles against Fairbanks, NBC. What's that gasp for?
That very sentence. That's why I gasped.
Oh dear. Television Arts Productions went to trial in Los Angeles against Fairbanks, NBC, and anyone else now connected with the films. The case dragged on for over 3 years, but ultimately, Anderson and Ward lost. Dang, that sucks.
Yeah, that really sucks. That's really sad. Yeah, huge sad. Mega sad. And extremely mega sad. Will you guys cut that out? Sorry.
Alex said there were indeed litigation. We learned to our dismay that with a few legal loopholes, our 50% equity in the films had disappeared. One of these loopholes found that the contract was supposedly guarantee Ward and Anderson half the profits was deemed a personal agreement with Fairbanks, and this had been voided when Fairbanks lost the films to NBC. To cap this, the judge ruled that there were in fact no profits to be divided. Unfortunately, the series hadn't broken even. But our feisty little rabbit and his placid tiger bell wouldn't sit still for long. During his sovereign experience with Fairbanks and NBC, Ward and Anderson kept busy with their real estate and advertising careers. Then, in late 1956, Jay Ward and Len Key discussed the revival of Crusader Rabbits. Leonard Key was the same age as Jay and Alex. They had all attended University High School in Oakland, then UC Berkeley. Key had played football, and Sportsnut Ward dubbed him Big Len, while Key's nickname for Ward was Jessup. He had occasionally dropped in on Anderson and Ward in their garage studio during production of the early Crusader Rabbit films in Berkeley. Lucille Bliss recalls Len and his cartoonist brother Ted sitting and contributing occasional opinions or ideas. Key recalls, "We were all close friends and we all thought this idea of the Laurel and Hardy type of cartoon team was great." He loved the characters and had long felt proud of television art's achievement. Key explained, "I'm a workaholic. I'd been in radio and TV for some time and I was forever doing a deal for someone. I was always involved in far too many things at one time." He dearly wanted to see Ward leave the world of real estate and return to animation, feeling Jay had a genuine talent for this field and I knew he was real eager to get back into cartoon production. Constantly keeping his ears open to all that went on in the industry, he learned that the present climate strongly favored TV animation. He felt the timing was now perfect to resurrect Crusader Rabbit for all new episodes. The early season series was way ahead of its time. And anyway, very few people owned TV sets back in 1949. But now thousands of people had television in the home and the business had caught up. Kids loved cartoons, which meant big advertising bucks. So one day I called Jay and told him I had a great idea. Let's do another 195 episodes. Jay was willing and eager, but he was busy with the court case and couldn't devote himself full time. So we decided to look for an acceptable animation outfit to which he would assign rights. I became the manager of the project. Ward approached the famed Tom and Jerry director William Hanna, who expressed interest in the idea. Still with MGM, whose theatrical cartoon division was inexorably winding down due to rising labor costs and the inroads being made by television, Hanna and some associates were keen to enter TV animation. They had been impressed with the original Crusader Rabbit, and after studying the series and discussing ways on improving the artwork, decided to try some episodes of speculation.
Okay.
Hanna flew to New York to talk with Ward about the business angle. He then met Anderson in San Francisco to discuss the creative aspects of the property. Hanna recalls, "I'd never met Anderson, so he said he'd greet me at the airport, and that I recognized him because he'd be wearing this big Russian hat." The upshot of these meetings was that Hanna and the talented animator Mike Law formed an independent studio called Shield Productions, Inc., with design artists Don Driscoll and Don McNamara as partners. Shield was to make new Crusader Rabbit episodes in color. The staff consisted mostly of MGM artists. Law told Fred Patton that Ward encouraged them to open the studio. The Shield people would fund the Crusader series themselves and be paid when Ward sold the show. That this time around, Alex Anderson wasn't really interested. He said, "By now I was a vice president and creative director at an ad agency, and I had a family. So I was rather reluctant to go back to a 90-hour week with the prospect of not much money." Still, he agreed to help with the scripts part-time and wrote some material. He opines, "Frankly, I felt they both had a bad taste in their mouths from the earlier experience, but I knew Jay was very keen to return to TV on a full-time basis." Len Key began working on packaging the new Crusader strip, TV terminology for a Monday to Friday show, one episode a day. Again, he was planning for a full TV season running 39 weeks or 195 weekday episodes. The Shield staff recorded some voice tracks and began work on the new Crusader cartoons. If nothing else, he was certainly energetic. He composed a sales program guaranteeing 195 episodes comparable in quality to the older shows. And by hoping planes, city to city, I built up interest in the show amounting to some $4,500,000 in potential contracts. All the folks in TV programming department still love Crusader Rabbit.
Whoa. But now, finally, some guys at RCA put together a deal. I got a very good reaction. They were originally a radio syndication firm, and this was to be one of their kickoff TV series. It would be on a 2-year unlimited run basis, and the cartoons were budgeted around $3,000 each. I hired a damn good lawyer, and we were in the the stages of negotiation. Key and some acquaintances invested money in the project for sharing the property.
Yeah, that's a good thing, Crusader Rabbit got 5. Suddenly, new trouble loomed. Shield Productions have been working for 3 months, with several shows underway, when legal rights to the characters began being questioned. Jay Ward had mentioned his currently pending lawsuit with Fairbanks, feeling confident that his attorney, Ted Chester, would soon win the case. But now Joel Bosnell, who had basically liquidated Fairbanks Productions and thus owned the negatives to the original Crusader films, wanted to make his own Color Crusader Rabbit series through TV Spots, a small commercial animation studio he had bought in 1954. Bob Gannon, general manager of TV Spots, got Bonsall infused about producing entertainment animation to supplement their regular TV commercial assignments. Bonsall was eager, having seen healthy ratings for cartoons like Popeye and Bugs Bunny, once the film studios finally released their backlogs to television in 1956. Understandably, he regarded the old Crusader Rabbit films he now owned as a viable property. As before, Ward didn't bring the new matter up with the Shield people, assuming that though TV Spots might have their old cartoons, he and Anderson indisputably owned the character rights. Events began to snowball. Joel Bonsall contacted Len Key, and they met in New York for a lunch. He discovered just how tough and shrewd Bonsall was, which made sense. He was a bean counter from way back when he made a pile of money out of laundromats. Bonsall offered half the income from the old films in a 50-50 deal if he could make the new ones through his TV Spots studio. He remembers Bonsall saying, "I've checked the guys out, you could use the money." He stalled, saying he had to consult Anderson and Ward. Phone Jay, who responded, "Big Glenn, tell him no. We'll do it ourselves. Besides, Bonsall is one of the people we're suing, and we don't want to deal with him." He informed Bonsall that Warren and Anderson weren't interested, but Banks anymore.
Oh man. I was gonna say they meant. Yeah, you just meant. Honestly, they mentioned Popeye or Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
You mean the Popeye's restaurant? No, Gonard.
It's the Sailor Man.
Yeah, it's the Sailor Man. Sailor Mouth? You mean that? Gonard. Don't you even say the bad words. Okay.
You're not even a real local boy. No, check. The contracts were all made up, and we were ready to close our deal with RCA. Bonsall then intimated Key and Ward were making a big mistake. And with that violent threat, remembers Len, he showed me his financial record and said, "I've got a lot more money than you guys." Soon after, we got a call from Bonsall's lawyer, Donald Dior, saying they would sue us and claiming that Television Arts didn't have clear title to the property. Then RCA called Len, reporting more trouble. Bonsall's lawyer had also phoned them, claiming lapse of copyright and unfair competition, his pitch being that the new Shield episodes could not be guaranteed to be of comparable quality. In reality, he explained, Bonsall was simply making it impossible for us to continue. It was a slam dunk. He told us that our retainer for an attorney would cost us $40,000, and that we were looking at a 5-year court case. None of us could afford it, so of course Bonsall won. He got the characters by simply paying Jay and Alex $50,000. Jay was very disappointed in the outcome, and at the time he was happy the mess was over because it would free him up to do other things. By now, Bill Hanna and Associates had quit. At first, Morris had assured Shield Productions that he and Anderson owned the characters and that work should proceed. However, Shield's attorney advised Hanna to dissolve the Crusader project. There was no written contract with Ward protecting them from Joel Bonsall's claim, and thus there seemed little chance of selling the Shield episodes to a sponsor during this ongoing mess. 11 color episodes went down the drain. When S.H.I.E.L.D. offered to sell the work, they couldn't reach an agreement with Bonsall, so the finished cartoons disappeared into the vault forever. The final result was that Bonsall's TV spots took over S.H.I.E.L.D.'s work and position. To tidy up the matter of character rights, in June 1957, Bonsall bought Ward and Anderson's Corporation Television Arts Productions for $50,000. Anderson recalls,
Okay, I was gonna say, man, that's a lot. That's a lot of dollars.
yeah. Anderson recalls, Shaw Bonsall was pretty slippery. I remember Jay bringing word of Bonsall's offer, not just for the rights to Crusader, but for TAP itself. He gave us something like 3 days to take it or leave it. We finally agreed. We provided so that Jay and I retained some equipment and the rights to all our undeveloped properties. RCA and its lawyers were understandably angry, having advanced $9,500 and committed themselves to no avail. Key was certainly embarrassed. My stockholders were furious. And what of Bill Hanna? Just as MGM closed its theatrical animation division, George Sidney of Columbia Screen Gems offered Hanna financing for a new animation studio if Screen Gems could have the famous MGM team of Hanna and Joe Barbera. The S.H.I.E.L.D. staff joined the new Hanna-Barbera Productions and commenced work on Rough and Ready. The rest is TV cartoon history. Meanwhile, Ward and Anderson's older Crusader Rabbit films were being distributed by George Bagnall and Associates. As Len Key saw it, Bagnall was small time. He had a bunch of crummy films and old shorts. He was lucky to get Crusader. TV spots eventually went on to produce 260 new color episodes of Crusader Rabbit. Bob Gannon even approached Anderson to write the script. Under the circumstances, however, Alex was hardly interested. A new cartoon writer, one Chris Bob Hayward, got the nod. Anderson said, to be fair, the new Crusader show had some excellent people working on it, and the results were very good. Chris Hayward later became one of Jay Ward's top writers. Bob B. Miller and John Sperry, who had worked on the two original series, were now with the TV Spots Crusader crew, B. Miller becoming the show's director. The one thing Shaw Bosnell didn't get was the rights to Anderson and Ward's other characters, including a certain moose, squirrel, and mounted policeman. Ward had been back in real estate for almost 6 years, always intending to return to TV when possible. Now, in mid-1957, Ward felt it was time once and for all to get back. Anderson comments, J. Ward Productions eventually rose like a phoenix out of this mess of legal nightmares. When with his beloved animated offspring Crusader Rabbit and Rags the Tiger now in the custody of step-parents and TV spots, a bruised but wiser Alex Anderson was happy to pursue a full-time career in advertising. J. Ward, meanwhile, was at crossroads. As columnist John Stanley observed, Ward went back to making more money in real estate, but with the decided goal that he would one day return to cartoon producing, fulfilling his dream. Return he did, although for a couple of years, Jay's dream played more like a wretched Stephen King nightmare.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Yeah, I can. Man, that's something. Oh my goodness, Mix King, look at the running time. What running time?
Yeah, that one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we should stop here.
Yep. We should stop for now and resume at part 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Bottom line, what do you think of my profile picture?
Cool.
Yeah, nice. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, on Wednesday, Mix King is not going to be here because he had to participate on game night. So maybe we can do part 2 on a Thursday.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait. What about the part for Lego Dimensions?
Well, I don't know. Maybe next month in November. I don't know. It'll depend on the time, though. Anyway, we'll see you on part 2.
Yeah, see ya. So.
Yeah.